In the first scene, we meet Iwatani Naofumi, who wakes up from a strange dream. Naofumi is your typical otaku. He's been given the green light to chill at home since he helped his troublemaker brother get his life together. Naofumi decides to hit up the library to find some novels to read. While he's browsing the catalog, a bunch of books tumble down, and he picks up one with a red cover. The book is titled, The Records of the Four Great Weapons. It tells the story of four heroes who are supposed to save the world from disaster. Each hero has a unique weapon, a sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield. Naofumi is taken aback that a shield is included. Shields are for defense, not offense, he thinks. As he flips through the pages, a bright light bursts from the book, and Naofumi gets transported to a different place. Naofumi finds himself in front of some priests. He glances over and sees three other guys holding a spear, a sword, and a bow. When he looks at himself, he realizes he has a shield strapped to his arm. The priests tell them they've been summoned as heroes to help defeat the disaster that's about to hit their world. Naofumi feels shy while the others are already making demands. The heroes are taken to meet the king. On their way to the palace, they finally figure out they're no longer in Japan. They're in a whole new world. The king welcomes the heroes and introduces himself as Altkray Melromark, the 32. He asks the heroes to introduce themselves. The sword hero goes first. His name is Amaki Ren, and he's 16. The spear hero is Kitamura Motoyasu, who's 21. The bow hero is Kawasumi Itsuki, and he's 17. Naofumi is surprised when the king doesn't even acknowledge him after everyone else introduces themselves. Finally, he introduces himself and mentions he's 20 years old. The king tells the heroes about this prophecy. Basically, the world's about to get wrecked, and they need to step up. He explains that the first wave of destruction has already hit, which is why they had to call for heroes in the first place. They managed to hold off that first wave, but if another one comes, the nations could be toast. They've got less than a month before the next wave rolls in. The king tells them they can check their status by focusing on the icon in the corner of their vision. All the heroes are still level 1, so they'll need to go on some adventures to level up their weapons and skills. The more experience they rack up, the higher their level will go. Plus, they'll have to recruit their own party members. Oh, and they can only use their legendary weapons. Like, the sword hero can't just pick up any old weapon. They're told to get some rest, and they'll kick off their adventure the next day. That night, the four heroes discover they're all from different versions of Japan. Naofumi notices they're looking down on him since he's the shield hero. The next morning, they all meet at the palace. The party members have been lined up, and they're told to pick who they want, but no one chooses Naofumi out of all the options. He starts complaining, and just then, one of Motoyasu's party members offers to join him. She's a total knockout, and Naofumi can't believe someone as cute as her wants to team up with him. Then the king tells Naofumi he needs to recruit more members on his own, and mentions that Naofumi will get a bigger allowance than the other three. The rest get 600 silver coins each, while Naofumi scores 800 silver coins. The group quickly kicks off their adventure. The girl in Naofumi's party introduces herself as Mine Sophia. Their first stop is a weapon shop. The shop owner shows him different swords, and when he touches one, he feels a jolt run through him. Then he remembers he can only use a shield. He starts to wonder how he's supposed to fight with just that. The shop owner uses his appraisal magic to check out the shield and says it has some serious power, but he can't get much more info on it. Plus, the shield is stuck to his arm and won't come off. So, Naofumi decides to at least buy some armor. After that, Naofumi battles some balloon-like monsters to gain experience. He gets bitten by them, but it doesn't hurt. He manages to take down a few monsters and collects their balloon fragments to sell later. Later that day, they head back to the weapon shop to get Sophia a new set of pricey gear. Afterward, they hit up a pub to grab some drinks and food. Sophia tries to flirt with Naofumi, but he keeps his cool. After a long day, he heads to his room. He only has 199 silver coins left, which he hides in the back of his shield before crashing for the night. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up to find all his gear missing. Soldiers from the palace show up to take him to the king, who wants to see him. When he gets to the palace, he's thrown to the ground and surrounded by armed guards. He's been accused of a crime. Sophia steps forward to tell the king and the others that Naofumi tried to assault her, but Motoyasu saved her. Naofumi can't believe what's happening. The king tells Naofumi that the crime he's accused of is punishable by death, but they won't execute him because he's a hero. Naofumi tries to defend himself and deny the charges, but he's ignored. He gets furious and asks to be sent back to his world. He can see that the king, the authorities, and everyone else don't respect him because he's the shield hero. He also realizes that Sophia and Motoyasu set him up to rob him. Naofumi finds out he can't go back to his world just yet. He has to take down the catastrophe first. Frustrated, he shoves the soldiers away and asks the king if he wants to lock him up. The king admits he can't afford to do that since they're facing a disaster and need to get ready. As Naofumi leaves the palace, he realizes his reputation, respect, honor, and status are all messed up. He bumps into a shop owner who initially wants to throw a punch at Naofumi, but changes his mind when he sees Naofumi might actually be innocent. The shop owner gives Naofumi a green cape as a parting gift, saying it's worth 5 copper coins, and Naofumi promises to pay him back someday. Naofumi tracks down some balloon monsters and takes out a few of them. He brings the monster parts to a coin exchanger, who tries to pull a fast one on him. Naofumi shows off the monsters he's hiding under his cape and warns the merchant to tell other traders not to mess with him. The merchant coughs up the cash he owes Naofumi. As he walks past a weapon shop, he tosses in 5 copper coins to pay for the cape, Naofumi keeps living a lonely life. He soon discovers that he can upgrade his shield and even change its size and shape as long as he unlocks the features. One night, some thugs try to rob him, but he takes them down with help from the balloon monsters under his cape. He realizes he needs a party member who can go on the offense while he plays defense. Just then, a guy in a hat approaches him and says he has a solution to his problem. He takes Naofumi to his shop and reveals he's a slave trader, offering all sorts of services, including demi-human slaves. He tells Naofumi to check out his collection and pick someone. Whoever he chooses will be contracted to him and will always follow his orders. Naofumi looks around and picks the slave he wants. The slave is a demi-human, half raccoon and half human. The slave trader tries to talk Naofumi out of getting her, but Naofumi is set on this girl. He pays for her, and the trader makes the contract. He puts a seal on her chest that makes her obey her master. If she disobeys, she feels intense pain from the seal. Naofumi asks her name, and she tells him it's Raftalia. He takes her and they leave the place. He brings her to a weapon shop to get her a sword. After she gets the sword, Naofumi pulls out one of the balloon monsters and asks her to take it out. She's hesitant, but when the pain from the seal kicks in, she has no choice but to fight. Finally, she gathers herself and defeats the monster. She gains experience points, and so does Naofumi. The shop owner tells him he'll also get EXP whenever Raftalia levels up. After that, they leave the shop. Next, he takes her to a restaurant because he realizes Raftalia is already hungry. Before they go in, she notices a sign saying the restaurant doesn't allow demi-humans. The waiter comes to take their order, and Naofumi makes sure to get Raftalia a really delicious meal. She enjoys it, smiling the whole time. Later, they go monster hunting together, sticking to fighting the balloon monsters for now. Raftalia is shocked to learn that Naofumi is one of the legendary heroes. She remembers her parents telling stories about heroes, especially the shield hero, who always treated humans well. Meeting the shield hero has been her dream, and now, here he is right in front of her. That night, Raftalia wakes up from a nightmare. She remembers the horrific moment when a three-headed monster killed her parents. To keep her safe, they pushed her into the water below. She wakes up screaming and crying, but Naofumi quickly holds her and comforts her. The next morning, Naofumi heads to a herb shop to sell the herbs and medicines he's brewed. Raftalia waits outside for him and watches some kids playing ball. When Naofumi comes out, he realizes she wants a ball, so he gets her one to cheer her up. He tells her she can play with it after they finish their work. After that, they rent a room to stay in. Naofumi takes care of Raftalia like she's his sister. They train together and do everything side by side. Naofumi makes sure Raftalia is always with him. While they're in the forest, they spot a rabbit, and Naofumi catches it. He tells Raftalia to take it out, but she hesitates. He explains that he needs to get stronger for the disaster that's coming, and he needs her help. Remembering how the monster killed her parents, Raftalia quickly jumps in to take down the rabbit. They visit the weapon shop again so Raftalia can get a new weapon. Naofumi asks the shop owner if there's a town nearby where they can fight more monsters and sell what they find. The owner suggests they head to the village of Loot. Soon, Naofumi and Raftalia arrive in Loot and find a trader to sell the rabbit pelt to. Naofumi asks the trader if there's a way they can make some cash. The trader tells him there's a coal pit nearby, but it's swarming with monsters since the first wave hit. After getting this info, Naofumi checks out his shield in a hut. He calls it out, and it shows a green energy shield. Naofumi is surprised that it can do that. He and Raftalia make their way to the coal pit. They're still gathering ores when a two-headed monster shows up. Naofumi scoops up Raftalia and dives into the water below. He finds another way to climb back up and asks Raftalia if this is the same monster that killed her parents, but she says no. Naofumi goes after the monster and pins it down. He tells Raftalia to attack, but she struggles because of her past trauma. Naofumi tells her to get out while he buys her some time. Raftalia realizes she'll lose Naofumi just like she lost her parents if she doesn't pull herself together. She's not ready to lose someone close to her again. Overcoming her fear, she attacks the monster. Together, they take it down with their teamwork. Their strategy is simple. Raftalia attacks while Naofumi defends. It's been a week since the battle in the coal pit, and Naofumi's shield has picked up a bunch of new abilities. He and Raftalia hit up a weapon shop so she can snag a better sword, and Naofumi's looking to buy some armor since he got hurt fighting a monster. Raftalia has grown a lot, and her body has changed. She picks out the sword she wants and even manages to get the shop owner to give them a discount. Naofumi grabs some armor too, and asks the shop owner if he knows when the next wave is coming. The shop owner tells him there's an hourglass in the church counting down to the next wave. Once the last grain of sand falls, the next wave will hit. Naofumi and Raftalia decide to check out the church for themselves. When they get there, the other heroes and their party members show up too. Motoyasu corners Raftalia and offers to protect a pretty girl like her. She's shocked to learn he's a hero and tells him she swore to fight for Naofumi. As they leave the church, Motoyasu asks Raftalia if she's heard the rumors about Naofumi, but she hasn't. She's surprised. That night, Raftalia asks Naofumi what went down between him and the heroes, but he brushes her off, saying nobody believes him anyway, and decides to stay quiet. As the countdown to the wave gets closer, Raphtalia reassures Naofumi that she'll always be his sword. She thanks him for protecting her. Just then, the last grain of sand falls in the hourglass. The sky turns red, and they find themselves in a different place. Looking out, they see the village of Loot is under attack. They rush over to help. The villagers are relieved to see one of the heroes coming to their rescue. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to evacuate the villagers while he distracts the monsters. Naofumi gets to work, drawing the attention of the monsters. He can't help but wonder why he's putting his life on the line for people he doesn't even know. He's trying to figure out how to keep the village safe. Climbing the watchtower, he rings the bell to lure the monsters in. Then, he sets the tower on fire and brings it crashing down on them. Just then, some villagers return to help Naofumi. They confidently declare they won't abandon their home. Suddenly, a giant monster shows up, and Naofumi tells the villagers to run because they stand no chance against it. That's when Raphtalia arrives to back up her master. Raphtalia drives her sword into the monster, taking it down. Meanwhile, the royal knights start bombarding the village, not caring that the shield hero is there. Naofumi manages to shield himself and Raphtalia from the blasts. Furious, Raphtalia wants to go after the knights, but Naofumi holds her back. Another wave of monsters comes in, but Naofumi doesn't blame the knights for what they did. He still steps up to protect them and fight the monsters. The knights and Naofumi team up to take on the monsters, also trying to move toward where the other three heroes are. Together, they manage to defeat the monsters, marking the end of the second wave. Meanwhile, the heroes feel pretty confident that the next wave will be just as easy. The knights show up to inform the heroes that the king is waiting to reward them. Back in the village, the villagers thank Naofumi for his help. They know they wouldn't have survived without him. Raphtalia feels happy that she could spare some kids from going through what she did. The hourglass inside the church resets again, gearing up for another wave of attack. That night, the king threw a party to celebrate their victory over the monsters. While everyone was having a blast, Naofumi was just chilling in a corner. He wouldn't have even shown up if it weren't for the reward. Meanwhile, Sophia was doing her best to keep Motoyasu from talking to any other girls. She's the jealous type and wants Motoyasu all to herself. Out of the blue, Motoyasu walks up to Naofumi and challenges him to a duel. Motoyasu claims he's challenging Naofumi because he has a slave in his party, saying a hero should do better than that. He tells Naofumi that if he wins, he can keep Raphtalia, but if Motoyasu wins, he'll take her away. Sophia is just smirking in the background, clearly in the know about everything going down. Naofumi turns down the challenge and starts to leave, but the guards stop him. The king stands up to give Naofumi a hard time and orders him to accept the challenge or face punishment. Naofumi has no choice but to accept since Raphtalia is now in the guard's custody. A little while later, Naofumi and Motoyasu step into the arena for their duel. The rules are straightforward. The duel ends when one of them is pinned down or admits defeat. The match kicks off, and Motoyasu goes on the attack. He hits Naofumi hard, but Naofumi manages to block his moves. He even lands a hit with his shield and then unleashes some monsters from under his cape to mess with Motoyasu. He traps Motoyasu in a shield prison and tells him to give up. After releasing the shield prison, Motoyasu is already looking pretty weak. He's about to admit defeat when Sophia jumps in and blasts Naofumi with magic. This surprises Naofumi, but the crowd doesn't seem to care. Motoyasu then unleashes a powerful blast at Naofumi. Naofumi hits the ground, and Motoyasu declares himself the winner of the duel. But Naofumi gets back up and says he's not ready to throw in the towel. Sophia strolls up to Naofumi and starts roasting him. Just then, the king calls her his daughter and refers to her as Malti. Naofumi puts two and two together and realizes that the king and his daughter have been scheming this whole time. Naofumi gets furious and declares he doesn't give a damn about the world anymore. A moment later, Raphtalia returns and starts laying into Motoyasu and Sophia. She tells them she doesn't need their help because Naofumi has always had her back. Just then, the other two heroes step into the arena and tell Motoyasu straight up that he lost the duel. Raphtalia tries to get close to Naofumi, but he snaps at her to back off. She admits she believed the rumors she heard, but now she knows Naofumi isn't the monster they made him out to be. She brings up all the good he's done. They hug, and Naofumi breaks down in tears. While handing out rewards to the heroes, the king is reluctant to give Naofumi what he deserves. He argues that Naofumi lost the duel and shouldn't be rewarded, but Ren and Itsuki step up for him, insisting that Naofumi actually won the duel if Sophia hadn't butted in. After hearing all this, the king has no choice but to give Naofumi his due. Naofumi and Raphtalia leave the palace feeling pretty good about it. Not long after, Naofumi and Raphtalia head back to the slave merchant to get her slave crest redone. They spot a crate of eggs on the trader's table, and Naofumi asks what's up with those. The trader explains they're monster eggs, and if they pay a certain amount, they're guaranteed a monster chick. If raised right, it'll double in value. These chicks are called Philolial, the big birds that pull carriages around town. Naofumi decides to buy one of the eggs. In the next scene, the herb shop owner gives Naofumi a book filled with different herbs and medicine recipes. It was sent by someone from Loot Village as a thank you for saving them. them. He also tells Naofumi to check out the magic store because they have something for him. When he gets there, the owner hands him a grimoire packed with magic spells he can learn. To make things trickier, Naofumi doesn't know how to read the language in this world, so he'll need to learn that before he can use the grimoire. Raftalia suggests they hit the books together. Naofumi thinks it's a solid plan since they've got a whole month before the next wave rolls in. In the middle of the night, Naofumi wakes Raftalia to tell her the egg is hatching. The bird instantly bonds with Naofumi and starts following him around. He names the bird Philo, and in just 2 days, Philo has grown like crazy. Not long after, Naofumi and Raftalia hear that knights are rolling into the village. Sophia and Motoyasu are with them. Sophia's got a royal decree, and it turns out Motoyasu has been named the ruler of the area. They're also going to charge the villagers 50 silver coins just to come in or leave the village. The villagers start grumbling because that fee is just too much. Naofumi steps in to speak for the villagers, saying there's no way they can afford that kind of cash. Just then, Sophia pulls her sword on the villagers. At the same time, some folks in masks and hoodies show up and hand Sophia a scroll to read. Naofumi can tell by their vibe and how they talk that they're pretty important. Sophia then tells Naofumi he has to fight for the village's leadership. Naofumi isn't into it at first, but the villagers plead with him to think it over, reminding him that if he doesn't fight, Motoyasu will take over. The challenge? A race between Naofumi's bird and Motoyasu's dragon, 3 laps around the town's outskirts. The race kicks off, and things look good for Philo and Naofumi, but Motoyasu's crew starts cheating, digging holes on the track. Naofumi and Philo dodge everything thrown at them and end up winning the race. Sophia doesn't want to accept the outcome, but the hooded folks are there, and she can't argue. They revealed they knew Motoyasu's crew was trying to sabotage the race. Sophia realizes she can't talk her way out of this and bails. As a thank you, the villagers gift Naofumi a carriage, and Philo will be pulling it from now on. While they're traveling, Raftalia gets motion sick, so they have to stop. Naofumi tells her to figure out how to deal with it because they'll mostly be traveling by carriage now. Naofumi also scores a trader's pass, letting him visit any village or town without getting hit with fees. This will really help them on their quest to battle monsters and level up. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up to find a naked girl asleep on his lap. He freaks out, wondering where she came from. Not long after, we find out that the girl is actually Philo. It turns out Philolios have their own queens and kings, and they blend in with the regular Philolios. Philo is a queen, and queens can transform whenever they want. Naofumi and Raftalia decide to take Philo to a slave trader to get her a taming crest too. It was a bit of a struggle, but they managed to get the crest on her. Philo is still at level 19, but she's already pretty tough. After that, they head to a weapon shop to see if they can find some clothes for Philo that won't rip when she transforms. She asks if they have any magic threads, which are needed for the kind of clothes they want. The tailor promises to make Philo the cutest dress ever. They go to a magic store to get the threads, but the owner tells them it'll take a few days to get them. While they're there, Philo spots a crystal ball and wants to know what it is. They check her magic abilities with the ball and discover she has wind affinity, so they'll have to wait a few days before Philo gets her outfit. As they're traveling, they see a guy who looks totally wiped out. He needs to get to the next town fast to deliver some medicine. Naofumi offers to help him out, saying he'll pay him back later with either goods or cash. He disconnects Philo from the carriage and rushes the guy to his destination. Raftalia stays behind to watch the carriage. They get there, and Naofumi helps deliver the medicine to the guy's sick mom. While the guy goes to get some water, Naofumi uses his magic to heal her. The guy thanks Naofumi by giving him some potatoes worth 1 silver coin. Then he heads back to Raftalia and the carriage. In the next few days, Naofumi keeps helping folks in need, and he's starting to get pretty popular around the area. One day, an accessory trader catches a ride with Naofumi and his crew, but soon after, they get stopped by a gang of crooks who demand Naofumi hand over the trader. The crooks are all cocky, claiming they've got an upgraded bodyguard and can take Naofumi and his team. They quickly learn they're no match for Naofumi and his crew. Raftalia and Philo take down the crooks and their so-called bodyguard in one swift move. The crooks end up tied up, and they confess that someone paid them to mess with the trader and steal his stuff. Naofumi asks the trader what he wants to do with the crooks, and he says he'll just turn them over to the guards for punishment. The crooks threaten to twist the story when they get to the guards, sure that the guards will believe them over the shield hero. Hearing this, Naofumi makes it clear he'll take them out if they try anything. The crooks start begging for their lives, even promising to buy their freedom. So, Naofumi easily loots the bandits and takes everything they've got as payment. The accessory trader is impressed with how Naofumi handled things and promises to share more tips about trades and business. He shows Naofumi how to craft gemstones and gives him some valuable knowledge and connections. Not long after, Naofumi finds out about a spot where he can get gemstones used for making magic threads. Naofumi, Raftalia, and the magic store owner head to the mine where the gemstones are. No one has been there since monsters took over. As they explore the cave, the lamp suddenly goes out, leaving them in total darkness. A voice fills their heads with negative thoughts. but the magic woman casts a spell to break the hallucination. They turn the lamp back on and move deeper into the cave. Eventually, they reach the spot where the gemstones are hidden. There's a serpent and a monster cat guarding the gems. With some teamwork, they manage to defeat the monsters, but Raftalia gets hurt in the process. It's just a minor injury, so her master helps her bandage it up. They grab the gems and take them to the tailor, who uses them to make magic threads. She crafts a beautiful dress for Philo, and when Philo transforms inside the house, the dress stays perfectly intact. Next up, Naofumi and his crew roll into a village that's totally being taken over by these crazy vines. The locals are freaking out, saying they're about to lose their home because of these plants. Some of the vines even morph into monsters and start attacking people. They've called in a bunch of adventurers, but no one could help. The village chief shows Naofumi a group of folks who've been hit hard by the vines. Naofumi is shocked to find out the vines are parasitic and are actually munching on the infected people. He uses his magic and medicine to try anyway, and it works. The vines on their bodies vanish in no time. After he heals the villagers, Naofumi is about to bounce, but they beg him to take out the monster vine that's wrecking their village. They spill the tea that Motoyasu was the one who brought the seed that started all this chaos. The villagers offer to pay him if he agrees to deal with the monsters. They head to where the vine's coming from, and a fight kicks off. Naofumi has some herbicide on him, and plans to use it on the monster vine. They keep slicing at it, but it just keeps growing back. Philo and Raftalia are going all out against the monster vine. After a few minutes of battling, Naofumi finally finds a spot to pour the herbicide. The vine weakens right away, and starts to dry up. They also smash all the seeds that the vine produced. The next morning, Nao uses his skills to tweak the vine's biology. He makes their fruits edible, which will provide food for the village and ease their worries about famine. Naofumi sells the seeds in exchange for some goods, then takes those goods to the accessory trader. The trader asks for Naofumi's help with a job. There are hot springs in a nearby town, along with some inns, and he wants Naofumi to deliver goods there. Naofumi is surprised to learn that hot springs exist in this world too. After delivering the goods, Naofumi and his crew decide to enjoy the hot springs themselves. Raftalia is concerned that Philo is getting too clingy with Naofumi. She figures that giving a gift is a good way to show love. That night, she heads to the mountains to find some rare crystals that are said to be powerful for love. Just then, she hears Philo behind her. Philo reveals she's also on the mountain to find rare eggs for Naofumi. Philo races to the top of the mountain, and Raftalia follows. While they're running, Philo isn't paying attention and almost falls off the mountain. Raftalia tries to save her, but they both end up falling together. Luckily, they land on something soft. It turns out to be a monster boar, which chases them, but they manage to escape unharmed. The next morning, they reach the bird's nest where they're supposed to get the eggs and the crystal. Just as they're about to grab the crystal, the wild boar shows up again. It attacks the nest, causing them to lose all the crystals and eggs. They get mad and take down the boar instead. On their way back to town, two guys approach them and offer to buy the boar for a good amount of cash. After they collect the money, they use it to buy a tool to help Naofumi with his crafting. They tell him the tool is a token of their gratitude, and he thanks them in return. One day, Naofumi and his crew run into some travelers. They tell him they're from a village not too far away that's been hit hard by a plague, and it's taking everyone down. Naofumi and his party hop on their carriage and head straight to the village. When they arrive, the first villager they see seems to recognize them and rushes off to tell the village doctor that the savior has arrived. Naofumi just wants to drop off some medicine and bounce, but he ends up sticking around to use his magic to ease the symptoms of the sick folks. They feel a lot better, but he knows it's just a temporary fix. The nurse looking after the villagers tells Naofumi they think the wind from the nearby monster-infested mountains is causing the plague. About a month ago, the sword hero went up there to take down a dragon that was nesting. After that, an adventurer tried to collect the dragon's body, but ended up falling and dying. Naofumi agrees to help and tells his party to get ready, but he talks pretty harshly to the villagers. They put on masks as they approach the mountain to protect themselves and manage to dodge the monsters on the way. When they get there, they're about to start chopping up the dragon when it suddenly comes back to life as a zombie dragon. Naofumi wants everyone to bail, but Philo, being a Philolial, can't resist chasing after the dragon. The dragon keeps spewing poison breath, and Naofumi knows it'll be a bigger mess if they don't take it down right then and there. Just as he's trying to rein Philo in, the dragon swallows her whole. Naofumi feels crushed, thinking he's about to lose everything again. In a surge of emotions, Naofumi lets the hatred he's been feeling take over. He taps into a powerful magic that lets him face off against the dragon. But Raftalia notices that this power could mess with his mind, and he might lose himself. She tries to bring him back to reality. Naofumi manages to regain control, but Raftalia is already really weak. Naofumi knows that the hate magic is his only shot at taking down the dragon. He's at a loss for what to do when, out of nowhere, the dragon crashes to the ground and dies. Thanks to his magic, Raftalia wakes up, but she's super weak. Philo bursts out of the dragon, revealing she's been tearing it apart from the inside. She also finds a purple crystal inside the dragon, which seems to be its core, and she eats it. Raftalia starts to weaken even more, and Naofumi realizes they need to get her out of there fast and get her some medicine. After breaking the dragon's curse, they rush Raftalia back to the village. Naofumi asks the doctor to heal her and do whatever it takes. The doctor says Raftalia's situation is serious, and they don't have enough holy water to lift the curses on her. Not long long after, Raftalia starts feeling better after getting the right care, but they still need holy water to get rid of the curses. Philo then hands Naofumi the mana crystal from the dragon. He puts it in his shield to boost its power, but he realizes his level isn't high enough yet. After a successful mission, Naofumi tells Raftalia they need to head back to the capital. He's worried about her health and wants to grab some strong holy water to make sure she's fully healed before they take on more missions. Just then, they spot some Philolials crowding around a girl. They step in, and the birds scatter. The girl is shocked to see a Philolial as big as Philo, and even more surprised when she finds out Philo can talk. She shares that she's always wanted to chat with a Philolial, and gives Philo some dried meat to munch on. She introduces herself as Melty. Naofumi notices she's dressed nicely and figures she might be a noble's daughter. Philo then transforms into her human form, which blows Melty's mind even more. Naofumi tells Philo she can hang out and play with her new friend until evening, but she needs to be back before sunset. Later that evening, Melty and Philo come back together. Melty says she needs the hero's help and learns that Naofumi is heading to the royal capital, so she wants to tag along. She got separated from her guards while playing with the Philolials earlier. Raftalia convinces Naofumi to help the girl because she's got no one else to turn to. Naofumi then tells Melty she'll need to offer a reward. Melty promises to ask her dad for a reward for the group. The next day, the party sets off for the capital. While camping that night, Naofumi discovers Melty is missing. He tells Raftalia, and they start searching for her. They wake Philo, who reveals that Melty is sleeping in her feathers. Not long after, they roll into the capital. Naofumi tells Philo to take Melty home and make sure to grab the reward. He and Raftalia head over to the church, where they run into the Pope. The Pope brings up Naofumi's duel with Motoyasu, saying the odds were totally against him, but he still held his ground. Naofumi isn't there for chit-chat. He's there to get their strongest holy water. The Pope tells him he needs to make an offering first, and the water costs 1 gold coin. The first bottle they get isn't up to snuff, and Naofumi figures it out with his scanning vision. The Pope scolds the disciple who brought the bad water, and she goes to fetch the good stuff. Naofumi leaves right after confirming it's legit. Once they're out of the church, Naofumi spots a guard sprinting toward him. He tells Raftalia to run, and they take off together. He suggests they split up since the guard is probably after him. After they part ways, Naofumi bumps into Motoyasu, who attacks him. Motoyasu demands that Naofumi free the slave girl with him. Naofumi thinks he's talking about Raftalia, but Motoyasu drops a bombshell, saying he means Philo. The guard chasing Naofumi shows up and tries to break it up, but then Sophia arrives with a decree that makes the fight between Motoyasu and Naofumi official. Just as Motoyasu is about to keep going, Melty shows up with a bunch of guards. Turns out she's Sophia's little sister, which means she's a princess too. She gives her sister and Motoyasu a hard time for putting innocent people at risk. Right then, Philo and Raftalia show up. Motoyasu bolts after Philo, asking her to come with him, not realizing she's the one who usually turns into the big bird. Philo transforms into her bird form and kicks Motoyasu away. Sophia tells the guards to take Motoyasu to a doctor. After Sophia and the spear hero leave, Melty tells Naofumi she needs to talk to him. They head to a weapon shop for some privacy. She spills that she's next in line for the throne, ahead of her sister, because her sister's always been a troublemaker. Just as she's about to keep talking, Naofumi cuts her off, saying he can't trust anything she says. Naofumi is totally over-trusting anyone from royalty. They've let him down and treated him like dirt, so now he sees them all as the same. He pushes Melty away, and she has no choice but to leave. As she walks out, she remembers how her mom sent her to the capital to talk to the king about how he treats the shield hero. After she leaves, Philo gets really sad that Naofumi chased Melty off. Philo is heartbroken about losing her friend and steps outside to sulk. While Philo is outside, that guard from earlier shows up with a couple of others. Just as he's about to kick them out, the knights say they're there to join him on his adventure. They saw him fight during the last wave and want in on that action. They mention they're from the village of Loot and even have a mage with them. They want to repay him however they can. Naofumi then shows them a pendant, saying it's worth 150 silver pieces. He wants them to buy it to prove they're serious. The guys promise to gather the silver however they can. After that, the shop owner tells Naofumi, Philo, and Raftalia that they can upgrade their classes now. Naofumi tells Raftalia to choose something that'll help her survive when he's not around. He reveals he plans to head back to his world after the waves are done. Raftalia feels crushed hearing Naofumi will leave once everything's over. They soon arrive at the church where they can upgrade. Naofumi is shocked to find out that a class upgrade costs 15 gold coins. He tells Raftalia to go first and that Philo can upgrade next time. Just then, the nuns got a message saying they couldn't give upgrades to the hero's crew. Naofumi and his friends storm out of the hourglass, fuming. They head over to the slave trader's place. Naofumi tells him they're blocking him from getting upgrades for his party members. The slave trader then mentions other countries where he can get the upgrades. For instance, there's the mercenary nation, Zeltobe, the demi-human country, Siltvelt, and Schildfrieden. The slaver suggests Schildfrieden to Naofumi, saying it'll take about a month to get there by wagon. They'll have to wait until after the next wave to make the trip. The slaver then gives Philo some sharp wyvern talons as weapons. To test out her new gear, the slaver offers them a job to deal with some monsters in the city's sewer system. Before long, Naofumi and his crew have wiped out the monsters. Philo excitedly shares how awesome the talons are to use. That night, Raftalia tries to find out when Naofumi will leave, but Philo interrupts interrupts. Naofumi has to push the two to go to sleep, and he's also working on some surprises for them while they snooze. The next morning, they keep on with their trading journey. They run into some refugees from the north, and Naofumi tells his crew to set up a kitchen right away to help them out. The refugees explain that the hero with the bow helped them kick out their king, but things have gone downhill since then. Ren and Itsuki are at the same tavern as Naofumi. Itsuki approaches Naofumi, and Naofumi seizes the chance to ask if he was the one who helped the northern folks with their revolution, to which he replies yes. Naofumi then tells the two heroes that he's been the one cleaning up their messes along the way. He leaves the tavern, telling them to quit making messes. The weapon shop owner tells Naofumi he's embedded the crystal they got from the dragon into his armor breastplate, which has an auto repair feature. Just then, the guards show up with the 150 silver pieces Naofumi requested. He hands them the pendant and tells them to keep the money, suggesting they get something nice for themselves. Meanwhile, Melty's mom is telling one of the masked people to keep an eye on her daughter and Naofumi's crew. She says it's Melty's job to figure out how to ease Naofumi's anger, which is a skill she needs to develop as the future ruler. Just then, the next wave of disaster hits. So, Naofumi hooks up his crew with some handmade jewelry to boost their stats right before the wave hits. Once that's all set, they get teleported to the village where the wave is about to crash. This is the same place where Naofumi helped an old lady who was sick, and he's totally shocked to see her fighting off monsters like it's no big deal. After securing the village, Naofumi and his crew need to bounce because the wave is dragging on longer than usual. They gotta figure out what's going on. They head to where the wave is hitting hardest and spot Itsuki blasting away at this massive ship floating in the air. He tells them that Motoyasu and Ren are on that ship. Philo swoops in, carrying Naofumi and Raftalia, and jumps onto the ship to help out. The boss on the ship is the Skull Captain, and he's level 49, which is pretty high. Naofumi gets on their case for taking too long to deal with the wave. He reminds them that if they don't wrap this up soon, the monsters will keep coming, making it tough for him to defend any village. He's fed up with them treating everything like a game. Then he tells Raftalia to use her light magic. With that, they can see the shadows of the Soul Eaters on the ship, and take them out pretty easily. But a couple of Soul Eaters keep popping up. Just when they think they've got enough to handle, a dimensional Soul Eater shows up to make things even harder. Naofumi tells Philo to use wind magic to try and push the Soul Eater back so they can hit it with long-range attacks. But the Soul Eater fights back with some serious blasts. Naofumi manages to shield his crew, but the other heroes get knocked to the ground. Philo uses her trickster magic to split herself up and attack the monster from different angles. Raftalia jumps into the action too, while Naofumi makes sure they're all protected and covered. He knows their strategy will take the monster out, but they need to move fast or the village is going to be in trouble. Naofumi tells Raftalia he has no choice but to use the Rage Shield. When he activates the Rage Shield, Naofumi realizes that his rage isn't what's powering it anymore. He's actually tapping into the dragon's rage he absorbed earlier, and it's way more intense than his own anger. His face goes red, and Philo gets caught up in the rage too. She powers up and goes after the Soul Eater, knocking it down while Naofumi keeps pushing it with his shield. Raftalia calls out the heroes for just standing around while Naofumi risks everything to take down the monster. It's Itsuki and Ren who jump in to help him first, while Motoyasu is still hesitating. Sophia is also telling him not to help Naofumi. After some pressure, the trio finally decides to team up with the shield hero. Naofumi feels like he's about to lose control to the rage, but Raftalia's touch brings him back. He then uses a powerful spell to activate the shield prison and trap the monster inside. He hits it with a piercing spell to deal some serious damage and finally takes it down. Everyone watching is in awe of Naofumi's strength. The other heroes are stunned to see that the shield is even more powerful than they thought. Just as they're celebrating their win, another Soul Eater shows up, and it catches them off guard. Suddenly, the Soul Eater gets attacked from above by someone they don't recognize. The attack takes the Soul Eater out with ease. The mysterious person lands on the ship they're on, and calls the heroes weaklings for struggling against mid-level monsters like the Soul Eaters. She claims that only one of them is worthy of being called a hero. She asks for the shield hero's name, but he tells her to introduce herself first. She reveals her name is Glass, and tells the group to see her as their enemy. Glass says something that sets off Motoyasu and the other two heroes. They go all out with their strongest attacks, but it doesn't even faze her. She looks totally fine. Then she casts a spell and hits the trio with it. They can't handle her attacks and get thrown across the floor. Naofumi chugs a potion to quickly recover his SP. He tries to trap Glass in a shield prison, but she breaks out like it's nothing. Naofumi and his crew go after Glass with a bunch of attacks, but she just brushes them off. They even summon a magic snake to bite her, but it seems she's immune to the venom too. Naofumi realizes things are getting serious when Glass slices Raftalia's sword in half. He tells everyone to get behind him and creates a shield prison around himself and his team. Glass's attacks hit the shield, but she still manages to smash it. She's trying to get Naofumi to use the Rage Shield against her. Raftalia gives Naofumi the green light, and he activates the Rage Shield. Philo powers up too and charges at Glass, but Glass just knocks her down. Naofumi goes for Glass, but she easily deflects his attacks. She hits him with a powerful spell, but he holds his ground. She admits she's impressed with Naofumi's defenses and that he's living up to his hero title. However, she wants him to show her what he's really got. Naofumi then activates the same spell he used to take down the Soul Eater earlier, but he's shocked when she breaks free from the spell like it's nothing. Realizing they can't take her down right now, he tells Raphtalia to cast light magic to blind Glass. Philo seizes the moment to carry them off the ship, but Glass isn't done. She keeps launching long-range attacks at them. Before leaving, Glass tells Naofumi she'll be back for their next showdown and assures him that the wave will win the war. With that, she vanishes, and the waves disappear with her. The sky goes back to its normal color. Naofumi starts questioning what these waves really are. He thought they were supposed to be world-ending disasters. He knows he needs to get stronger before the next attack and find more monster fragments to upgrade his shield. After this, Naofumi gets summoned to the palace to see the king. The king admits Naofumi did a solid job taking down the wave's boss, having seen it all through the crystal ball, but he's curious about how Naofumi got so strong. Naofumi isn't ready to spill any secrets and even tells the king to kneel if he wants to know how he got his power. The guards don't dare approach Naofumi because he could easily take them down, King included. He tells them he just wants to beat the waves and go home. The king threatens to hurt his party members, and Naofumi dares him to try. He promises to chase the king to the ends of the earth and make his life miserable. On his way out, Naofumi passes a woman who warns him to be careful. Later, Melty heads to the throne room to talk to her dad about making peace with the shield hero. She says the shield hero is crucial for their nation's survival. Just then, Sophia shows up and ruins the vibe. Melty tells her dad she wants what's best for the country and leaves respectfully. Eventually, Naofumi tells the weapon shop owner he wants to head to Shieldfrieden for class upgrades for his party. The owner helps them pack up everything they need, and they set off on their journey. While they're resting, Melty and her guards show up. Melty tries to persuade Naofumi to return to the capital and patch things up with the king. She argues that the hero and the king can't be fighting when the country's in trouble. Naofumi is still mulling this over when he sees one of the guards rushing toward the princess, sword drawn, trying to take her out. Naofumi quickly gets Melty out of the way just in time. The knight accuses Naofumi of holding the princess hostage. One of the knights is recording the whole thing with a crystal ball, while the others are busy fighting Naofumi and his crew. Naofumi manages to shield the princess, and when the knights have had enough, they pull back. Later, the footage gets edited and broadcasted nationwide to make it look like Naofumi is the bad guy holding the princess captive. Because of this, Naofumi and his friends are declared wanted. To stay under the radar, they hide out in the forest. They manage to catch one of the knights during the skirmish, and Naofumi plans to interrogate him. Naofumi finds a rosary on the knight. Raphtalia explains that it's from the Three Heroes Church, which worships the heroes of the sword, spear, and bow. Naofumi suspects that the king is behind all this, but Melty defends him, saying her dad might not be involved. She thinks her sister could be the real mastermind. The next morning, the group sets off on their journey. They ditch their wagon and hike up into the mountains. While taking a break, Raphtalia asks Naofumi why he chose Siltvelt over the other two countries. He reveals he's done his homework, and that Siltvelt's borders are heavily guarded. There has to be a reason they don't want them getting there, which is why he picked it. That night, Melty expresses her confusion about why the king is being so cold to the shield hero. She mentions that the queen told him earlier to treat Naofumi better, but he's ignoring that advice. Naofumi is shocked to realize that the queen holds more power than the king. The king married into the royal family, which is why the queen is at the top. Early the next morning, the crew hit the road again. As they navigate the risky mountain paths, Melty almost takes a tumble, catching the guards' attention. Naofumi and the gang start to bolt, but they soon find themselves trapped. The other three heroes and the knights have them cornered, demanding Naofumi let go of the princess he's got with him. Melty chimes in, saying she's totally fine and that Naofumi isn't holding her against her will. She reveals that it was her idea to travel with Naofumi for protection, and that this whole mess is part of a wicked scheme by someone dangerous. After hearing her out, the heroes chill for a bit. They're not acting hostile until Sophia shows up and flips the script. She claims Naofumi's shield can brainwash people, including her sister. This fires the heroes back up. Naofumi then tells the heroes that Sophia wants to off her sister so she can snag the crown princess title instead. Philo shifts into her bird form, and the group makes a break for it, but Motoyasu shoots her leg, turning Philo back into her human self. They're cornered, and Naofumi has no choice but to activate the raid shield since it's about to get real. Naofumi and his crew band together and manage to escape their attackers. He blasts the road apart with his shield's explosion. He trusts Ren will figure out the corruption going on. He tosses the rosary they snagged from the knight to him and walks away. After they escape, just then, one of the masked figures shows up. She tells Naofumi that the queen wants to see him about the chaos happening in the nation. The queen is located far from Siltvelt. Suddenly, they spot a fire blazing in the distance, and standing right in the middle of it is Sophia. The group figures out that Sophia is probably trying to smoke them out, which is why she set the forest on fire. The next morning, Naofumi realizes it's going to be tough to reach Siltvet, and the only way forward is to follow what the shadow agent suggested. He says they need to meet with the queen. Soon, they arrive in an area where demi-humans are basically treated like slaves. They're overworked and treated like garbage. garbage. Melty mentions she knows someone in the area. Just then, the local lord, Reichnaut, shows up. Now Fumi gets a weird vibe from him. Reichnaut tells the group to follow him to his mansion. Once they get to Reichnaut's place, he mentions that the knights informed him they might want to pass through his territory. He also says they were accused of starting the fire to cover their tracks. Now Fumi quickly denies this, saying it was Sophia who started the fire to flush them out. Reichnaut gets it and doesn't push back. After that, they bring out food for the group. After they finish eating, Reichnaut offers them a comfy room to crash for the night. Now Fumi is hesitant to sleep, thinking something might go down while they're out. Raphtalia offers to keep watch while now Fumi catches some Z's. Melty and Philo take the chance to explore the mansion. Meanwhile, the king is seriously worried about his daughter and isn't ready to lose her. Sophia keeps reassuring him that everything will be okay and they'll find Melty. The king is still blaming everything on the shield. Later that night, now Fumi tells Melty not to stress about kingdom stuff just yet. Her safety is the top priority right now. Once she's safe, she can focus on making changes in the kingdom. The next morning, the crew realizes that knights have surrounded the castle. Reichnaut gets taken away because they found out that now Fumi and his gang are hiding in the mansion. Melty and Philo aren't in the room, so they need to make a quick getaway before the knights catch them. They soon discover that Melty has a plan. She's gone to meet with the noble Idol who brought the knights. She tells him that now Fumi has escaped and insists she needs to talk to her dad. She demands an escort, and Noble agrees without hesitation. Now Fumi uses his master's order to locate Philo, who's sleeping in the attic after playing hide-and-seek with Melty the night before. She's shocked to hear that Melty went off with a noble and his knights. She wants to chase after them, but they hold her back. Now Fumi reassures Philo that they'll go after Melty and save her. He's not about to leave her behind. Meanwhile, Idol is busy grilling Reichnaut about the shield hero's location. Now Fumi, Philo, and Raphtalia manage to sneak into the mansion. They're taking out knights who try to stop them. Just when Idol is about to hurt Melty, Philo and the others burst into the room. Idol grabs Melty as a hostage, but now Fumi uses his shield's power to knock him down and rescue her. Melty is super happy to see Naofumi and reluctantly thanks him. Idol pulls out a whip, which triggers Raphtalia's memories of how she and other demi-humans have suffered at the hands of people like him. She steps closer to Idol as he lashes out, but she's unfazed. She cuts the whip and holds her sword to his neck, scaring him and making him feel the pain that other demi-humans have endured. So it turns out Raphtalia is one of the demi-humans that Idol used to keep as his personal property. He treated them horribly and did whatever he wanted with them. He even killed one of Raphtalia's friends named Rafana. Raphtalia is tempted to take him out. Now Fumi asks if killing Idol would help her find closure, but she's not sure. Instead, Raphtalia decides to let Idol live so he can atone for his sins. Just then, Idol pulls out a sword and attacks her. She manages to block his strike and push him back. Idol is doing everything he can to get rid of Raphtalia. He slips and falls out of the building, plummeting to his death. Now Fumi quickly reassures Raphtalia that Idol's death isn't her fault, and she shouldn't blame herself. Meanwhile, Melty uses her magic to heal Reichnaut's wounds. Raphtalia tells her crew they need to rescue the demi-humans still trapped in the mansion's basement. As they head underground, Raphtalia remembers being held captive after her hometown was destroyed. The deeper she goes, the more the pain hits her. Now Fumi is shocked to learn Raphtalia was kept in such a cramped space. Just thinking about it makes him feel sick and disgusted. He knows she must have gone through so much while she was locked up. Raphtalia recalls how Rafana suddenly fell ill after all the hard work and torture. Even though Rafana was already weak, Raphtalia kept taking care of her. Rafana wished she could visit their village one more time. One morning, Raphtalia wakes up to find out she's being sold to a slave trader. She's the only one being sold, so she gets separated from the rest of her people. Fast forward to now Fumi and Raphtalia learn there's a survivor in one of the cells. After finding the first survivor, they keep discovering more and more. Raphtalia soon spots one of her village friends locked up in a cell. Her name is Keel, and she doesn't even recognize Raphtalia at first. Raphtalia has to reintroduce herself for Keel to remember her. They hug tightly, and Keel tears up. Raphtalia reassures her that she's with the shield hero now, and they're there to rescue her. Now Fumi steps up and uses his powers to heal Keel's wounds. Then, Keel breaks the news to Raphtalia that Rafana is dead. Raphtalia rushes to Rafana's cell to see if it's true. When she gets there, she drops to her knees at the sight before her. Rafana is gone, and all that's left are bones. Melty can't believe such horrible things are happening in the country. She's heartbroken by everything she's witnessing. Raphtalia tells Naofumi that Rafana always wanted to meet the shield hero. Naofumi suggests they give Rafana and the others a proper goodbye so they can rest in peace. After that, they leave the underground cells. Once outside, they see that Idol is still alive, praying at a monument with a rosary in his hands. Suddenly, a blue light shines after his prayer. Reichnaut explains that the heroes of the past built the stone monument to seal away a monster. Turns out, Idol just unleashed the monster. He's pretty sure no one can stop him now that the monster is on his side. The monster rises from the depths, and the first person it takes out is Idol himself. It lets out a deafening roar that shakes everything and everyone around. While a monster is growling at them, there's a girl and a philolial hanging out in the woods. The philolial spills the beans that it's found the perfect candidate to be the next queen. Back at the mansion, Naofumi realizes the monster is super strong and they can't take it on. He tells tells everyone they need to bounce and find a place to hide. They're shocked when the monsters track them down anyway. There's a moment of hesitation to fight because there are civilians around, but Philo charges at the monster without a second thought. Now Fumi stresses the need to lure the monster away from the area so they can fight it without hurting anyone. Now Fumi figures out that Philo can be the perfect bait to draw the monster out of town. The dragon is drawn to the crystal glowing in her belly. Reichnot is tasked with taking Keel and the other kids to safety. Raftalia is hesitant to leave, but Keel insists she has to go because there are people who need saving. Raftalia hands Keel the bracelet Naofumi gave her. Philo scoops up her party members and gets them out of there. The monster is right on their tail. They keep running until they're out of the woods, but the monster is still hot on their heels. They reach an open area and wait for the monster to catch up. When the monster shows up, they unleash a bunch of powerful attacks, but it doesn't even flinch. The monster tosses them around like they're nothing. Philo jumps high and kicks the monster, but it still stands strong. Raftalia tries to slice it with her sword, but it's no use. Now Fumi decides to activate the Rage Shield. Just as he's about to do it, a voice tells him to hold up. Suddenly, the whole area fills with mist. Out of nowhere, hundreds of Philolials pop up from the woods and surround the monster. Then, a giant Philolial, as tall as the dragon, rises from the pond behind them. Melty says she's the Philolial queen. The queen tells them to stay back while she handles the monster. She gives the dragon a chance to surrender the fragment it has and back down. The dragon refuses and charges at the queen. With ease, the queen kicks the dragon back. It tries to roast her, but she blocks it effortlessly. The queen takes out the monster with a surprise blitz attack that no one saw coming. After defeating it, the queen transforms into her human form and introduces herself as Fitoria, the queen of all Philolials worldwide. She's been around for centuries. Fitoria then asks them to introduce themselves. Fitoria has a carriage ready to get them out of there. She's got a bunch of questions for Naofumi. Before they head out, Naofumi grabs some dragon materials to upgrade his shield. They hop into the carriage and take off. Using her portal magic, Fitoria zaps them to their destination in no time. They step out to find ancient ruins, which are the remnants of the civilization that the original heroes defended. Fitoria explains that it's now a sanctuary for Philolials, and she's not supposed to bring humans there. Naofumi ends up cooking for the whole crew and the Philolials hanging out there. Later that night, Fitoria calls Naofumi for a chat. They stroll together while talking. Naofumi asks why Philo is growing differently from the others, and she explains it's because a hero is raising her. She reveals she came to help because she heard a new queen candidate was found. She's curious about how the dragon seal got broken. Then she drops the bomb that the waves are hitting other countries too, not just Melremark. The heroes are supposed to be split up across different nations. Fitoria shares that she was raised by a hero as well, and has been protecting the world ever since. Still, she needs the heroes to team up and not bicker among themselves. Meanwhile, Ren and Itsuki sneak into the hidden part of the Three Heroes Church to see if they're really hiding something like Naofumi said. Sophia is lurking nearby, watching everything unfold. Back at the ancient ruins, Fitoria tells Naofumi that she might have to take out the four heroes if they can't get their act together and work as a team. The next morning, Fitoria takes Melty hostage and says she won't let her go until Naofumi can patch things up with the other heroes. Naofumi stands his ground, saying he's not ready to make nice with them. Fitoria drops a bombshell, saying she could just wipe out all four heroes and summon a new set if they can't work together. Even with all that pressure, Naofumi is firm that he won't talk to the other heroes. He insists he has nothing to say or do with them. He tries to activate his Rage Shield, but Fitoria uses her power to mess with the shield system. She sees how stubborn he is, and then makes him a deal. She tells Naofumi that she'll think about her options if he can show that he and his crew can handle the waves on their own. She suggests a one-on-one fight between her and Philo. If Philo wins, she'll release Melty and hold off on taking out the heroes for a bit. Naofumi doesn't want Philo to fight Fitoria, but Philo is all in, saying she can do it. They agree to fight in their human forms. Fitoria sets up a magic barrier to create an arena for the showdown. The fight kicks off, and Fitoria dances around Philo like it's nothing. Philo gives it her all, but she can't get close to Fitoria. Every spell and attack she throws is easily countered by Fitoria. During the brawl, Naofumi tries to rescue Melty, but Fitoria knocks him against the wall without breaking a sweat. Fitoria turns to Philo and tells her she's weak, saying her party needs her right now, and there's nothing she can do about it. The fight goes on, and Philo is determined to make her master proud. Naofumi tells her to chill out because he believes in her. With those words, Philo manages to conjure a powerful spell and charges at Fitoria. Fitoria throws up a barrier to block the attack. Philo keeps going, even with the shield up. She puts everything she's got into her attack and breaks through Fitoria's defenses. Exhausted from using so much energy, she collapses to the ground but refuses to give up. Fitoria then approaches her and tells her she's won the battle. Philo's party rushes over to hug her. She then spills the beans about testing Philo. If Philo hadn't passed, she would have been done for, and Naofumi would have been in the crosshairs too. Fitoria pulls out a crown and names Philo as her successor, saying she's next in line. Then, Fitoria tells Naofumi she's got something for him too. She sticks one of her fragments into his shield, unlocking a bunch of features he couldn't access before. After that, she says she needs to chat with him privately. Later that night, they throw a feast to celebrate the new queen's appointment. When the night winds down and everyone's asleep, Fitoria and Naofumi sit down for their talk. She asks if Naofumi ever ever tried to clear his name after that whole mess. But he says no. He didn't even bother explaining things to the other heroes because he figured no one would believe him. He admits he messed up there. Victoria then tells him it's time to settle things with the heroes. Once they leave the ruins, she'll drop Naofumi off near one of them so they can hash it out. She doesn't want to get tangled up in that drama again. Then she reveals that if one of the heroes bites the dust, they'll have to summon new heroes. They need to be all together to tackle the waves. She goes on to say there'll come a time when they'll have to pick between saving the world or the people in it. If they choose the world, they'll save it. But if they pick the people, it'll be a tougher road. Victoria then casts a spell on his breastplate to slow down the curse erosion on the rage shield. She tells him to ease up on using the shield. Naofumi starts to see that Victoria's actually nicer than she seems. Victoria's eyes well up with tears, and she rests her head on Naofumi's lap. In the final scenes of the episode, we see Ren and Itsuki following a lead into a sketchy cave. Just then, a bright and powerful blast comes down from above and hits their spot. The next morning, Victoria teleports the crew to a spot where she can feel one of the heroes. She also hooks them up with a new wagon. With emotions running high, they say their goodbyes. Philo is super excited to pull the new wagon and hums happily as she goes. They soon reach a checkpoint and the group starts debating whether to take a detour. Naofumi mentions that either Itsuki or Ren should be there. They decide to chat with one of them and see if they can get through. If not, they'll just push their way in. As they get closer to the checkpoint, the lookout raises the alarm as soon as he spots them. When they arrive, they find Motoyasu and a bunch of guards waiting for them. Naofumi tells him he's not there to fight. He just wants to talk and pass through. Motoyasu gets angry, asking if that's all Naofumi has to say. He then attacks Naofumi, but Naofumi blocks it. He's shocked that Motoyasu would attack him for no reason. He throws several magical attacks, but Naofumi manages to fend them all off. Naofumi then asks why Motoyasu is so mad at him and why he's always ready to fight. Motoyasu tells him to dig deep into his feelings to figure it out. He then drops the bomb that Ren and Itsuki are dead, claiming Naofumi is to blame. Naofumi is shocked, his jaw dropping when he hears the news. He tells Motoyasu he didn't kill them because he had no reason to. He asks if Motoyasu has seen their bodies, but Motoyasu says no. Just as Naofumi is about to keep convincing him, Sophia shows up and says they got the info from a reliable source in the church. Sophia then creates a lightning cage around them so they can fight without interruptions. It turns into a full-on brawl between Naofumi's crew and Motoyasu's squad. They start throwing magic spells at each other left and right. As the fight heats up, Naofumi and his team manage to pull off a combo move. Motoyasu can't believe that Naofumi and his crew are taking them down without even leveling up their classes. Philo knocks Motoyasu and his crew to the ground to bring them closer. Then she tells Naofumi to set up a protective barrier. Naofumi creates a shield prison, but Philo says it's not enough. He layers on more shield protection. Suddenly, a massive projectile comes crashing down from the sky, landing right where they are. The shield protection shatters, but Naofumi manages to block all the damage with his shield. The whole area around them gets scorched, but the team is totally safe, and they're still trying to figure out what's going on when the Pope shows up above them. The Pope is shocked they're still alive after taking a direct hit from the multicaster ritual magic judgment weapon. He says he wants to purify Naofumi for his sins, which means he's gotta kill him. Sophia gets mad and calls out the Pope for almost taking out the spear hero and the next queen. The Pope mocks her, saying it'll be reported that the shield hero did the deed. He adds that plans are already in place for someone else to take over the government. He accuses the heroes of messing up the nation. Then he drops the bomb that he was the one who killed Itsuki and Ren. Motoyasu is stunned when he hears this. To finish off the group, the Pope pulls out a sword that Melty recognizes. The look on her face shows she knows just how powerful that sword is. The Pope points the sword at the group and unleashes a massive blast, but Naofumi manages to block it. He can feel the sword's overwhelming power. The Pope tells them that was just a test shot. He powers up the sword to unleash its real strength. Suddenly, the sword transforms into a spear, shocking everyone. But Melty already knows what's up. She explains that the sword is a direct copy of the hero's weapons and can change into any of the 4 legendary weapons, packed with immense power. Motoyasu wonders why they needed to summon heroes when they have something that powerful. Melty clarifies that the weapon drains a ton of mana. The Pope tells them that the mana they need will come from the hundreds of believers behind him, calling it a battle between the devil and the divine supreme being. Motoyasu gets mad, realizing they've been playing him from the start. He fires a blast from his spear, but the Pope's barrier blocks it. Motoyasu tells Naofumi it's time to team up and cut off the mana supply. He tries a bunch of combos to attack the Pope, but the barrier is unbreakable. Some of the believers run out of mana and collapse. After several failed attempts to take down the Pope, he strikes back with his own attack. Just as the Pope is about to attack again, a surprise combo hits and pushes him back. They turn to see Ren and Itsuki have just arrived. They're shocked to see the duo alive and well. The Pope tells his assistant to have their mages focus on maintaining the barrier. Ren reveals that the Pope actually tried to kill them, but they survived thanks to the Shadow Squad. Ren and Itsuki discovered that everything about Naofumi was a lie, and that he was framed. Ren charges at the Pope and attacks fiercely. The barrier protects the Pope, but he still feels the impact. Ren and Itsuki announce that the Queen's forces are on their way, and urge urge the Pope to surrender before she arrives. The believers start to panic at this news, but the Pope manages to reassure them again. The heroes realize that the believers and the Pope aren't about to back down. They need to team up and teach them a lesson. But now Fumi decides it's time to give the trio a reality check for how badly they've been acting lately. He tells them things wouldn't have gotten this messy if Motoyasu had just thought for himself instead of always listening to Sophia. He also lays into Ren and Itsuki for treating everything like it's just a game. The three of them start bickering, trying to pin the blame on one another for the mess they're in. While they're busy fighting, the Pope is just laughing. He can't believe how pathetic the heroes are. The Pope fires a blast from the legendary weapon at them, but now Fumi manages to block it. He remembers how Vittoria begged him to resolve things. He tells the other heroes they're scum, no better than the Pope trying to kill them, but he's willing to work with them until they take down the Pope and make it out alive. With that, the heroes and their party members agree to join forces. Just then, the Pope activates a wall around them that looks like the roof of the church. He calls it his cathedral and tells the heroes they've reached their final destination. Meanwhile, the Queen is gearing up. She's donned her armor and is ready to roll. Back where the Pope and the heroes are squaring off, the heroes launch a spell at the Pope, but he keeps brushing them off. While the Pope is battling the heroes, the believers are using their mana to heal him from any hits he takes. This keeps the Pope standing strong against the heroes. He gets healed up right away and shakes off any damage. Now Fumi is riding on Philo's back, carrying Motoyasu with him. He tells Motoyasu to go for it when they get close to the Pope. The plan goes off without a hitch, and he manages to unleash a curse attack at the Pope, but the Pope easily counters it. Then, he tells the bishop to keep the believers on their toes. The bishop responds that almost all the believers are out of mana. He warns that their lives could be at risk if they keep pushing. The Pope brushes that off and tells the bishop to keep the pressure on the believers. The Pope insists that the fight is between the devil and the almighty supreme being. They realize the Pope is building up mana for a big attack, and they need to do something about it. They ask now Fumi if he can help with his shield. Now Fumi thinks about using the shield, but suddenly feels a sharp pain. He remembers what Vittoria told him about the Rage Shield curse. He feels he has no choice right now, because it's the only way they can stand up to the Pope. He reassures Philo and Raftalia that he'll do his best to keep his sanity. He activates the Rage Shield, and the dragon's hatred starts to take over him. Now Fumi tries to fight it off, but eventually, he succumbs to the dragon's words and lets the rage consume him. He gives in, and his whole body and soul are taken over by the rage inside him. He's about to go on a rampage when he suddenly hears Philo, Melty, and Raftalia's voices in his head. Focusing on their voices helps him regain control. Coming back to reality, he sees the trio clinging to him, already feeling the effects of the curse. Now Fumi then turns to the other three heroes and humbly asks for their help. The Pope attacks, but now Fumi manages to shield them. The group then launches a full-on assault against the Pope, with now Fumi barking out orders. Even Motoyasu can't believe he's taking orders from now Fumi. They push the Pope back and break through all his defenses. Just as they charge at him, the Pope suddenly powers up. He starts hitting them with advanced skills from his legendary weapon and creates a noise barrier to mess with their hearing. The group soon realizes it's all an illusion. Just when the Pope is about to finish them off, the Queen shows up and casts a spell that traps him in an ice wall. She tells now Fumi to take him out. Now Fumi activates a spell that pierces his own body, spraying red liquid everywhere. The Pope is thrilled, thinking now Fumi has taken himself out. But then, a red creature pops up from under the Pope and devours him. The cathedral and the legendary weapon go down with him. Once the chaos settles, they find now Fumi unresponsive, lying in a pool of his own blood. The girls start to panic, but the Queen reassures them that she won't let the shield hero die. She approaches now Fumi and introduces herself. 3 days later, now Fumi wakes up in a clinic, all bandaged up. The three girls are there with him, and they fill him in on what happened. They tell him that the Queen did everything she could to make sure he survived. The power now Fumi activated affects both the target and himself, but the Queen made sure he didn't die. Even with her quick recovery magic, it'll take him about a month to heal completely. A little while later, the Queen comes to visit. She introduces herself again. Her name is Mirelia. Now Fumi wonders why the shield hero has been treated so badly since he got to this world, and the Queen promises to explain everything. She reveals that she was away at a forum when the nations summoned the 4 heroes. They had originally agreed that each of the 4 nations would summon 1 hero, but the king and princess went behind her back and summoned all 4. This made the other nations mad, and Mirelia has been trying to fix things ever since. The lord she left in charge died during the first wave, which gave Altcray and Sophia free reign to do whatever they wanted. She then explains why the shield hero has been hated from the start. Altcray already had a grudge against the shield hero for a specific reason. He hated the last shield hero and passed that hatred down to Naofumi. Things would have been different if Naofumi had been summoned to another nation. For example, in Siltvelt, they actually worship the shield hero. The Queen promises Naofumi that he won't be stopped if he wants to go to Siltvelt. She even vows to clear his name and put an end to the humiliation he's been facing. Plus, she's going to reward him with a huge prize, 500 gold pieces. Naofumi tells the Queen he doesn't plan on sticking around the country country. He knows they're counting on him to survive, but he promises to show up when the waves hit. The queen then asks him to come to the royal castle the next day. She wants to clear his name in front of everyone. A decree has already been sent out telling people to gather at the castle. That night, Naofumi wakes up from a dream where he sees the king and the princess losing their heads at the execution ground. The next morning, Naofumi and his crew arrive at the royal castle, where the other three heroes are also hanging out. A messenger soon shows up, telling them to head into the throne room. When they walk in, Motoyasu notices that the king and the first princess are missing from their thrones. The queen tells the guards to bring the king and Sophia in. They're brought in wearing chains, which totally shocks Motoyasu and the other heroes. The queen drops a bombshell, saying that they're now considered criminals and their trial is about to start, which will be shown to the entire nation. Before the trial kicks off, the queen makes sure they get a slave crest to keep things fair. The queen starts grilling Sophia about her role in everything that's gone down. Every time she lies, she feels pain from the slave crest. This leads everyone to discover that she tried to kill her sister. They also find out that Malti, aka Sophia, framed the shield hero by claiming Naofumi assaulted her. Once the confessions are out in the open, the queen stuns everyone again. She strips both of them of their titles and sentences them to death. She says their crimes are too serious to be forgiven since they hurt the people of the nation. To prove she's serious, she orders the execution to happen right away, and it's set to take place in front of the crowd. Naofumi realizes everything is unfolding just like in his dream. The duo is taken to the guillotine, and the crowd is seen celebrating. Just as the execution is about to happen, Naofumi steps in. He says the death penalty is too easy for them. He then makes a proposal. He says the king should change his name to Trash and the princess to the B word. He tells them they can either accept it or go to the guillotine instead. He also suggests that Sophia's adventurer name should be the S word. The queen agrees to this. She announces that the three heroes are abolished effective immediately and that a new four heroes church will be formed. After that, Naofumi gets ready to leave. He tells the queen he'll start working with other nations too. The queen promises to give him whatever he needs on his journey. She tells Melty that she would have offered her life for the king and Sophia if Naofumi hadn't stopped the execution. Just as Naofumi is about to leave the city, the people gather to show their respect for him. The military even gives him an honor guard. Naofumi realizes he's regained the honor, respect, and status he thought he lost. With a smile on his face, Naofumi walks out of the city, ready to tackle whatever waves come next with his crew. Next up, Naofumi and his crew head over to the Church of the Four Heroes to level up their classes. They can finally swing by the church whenever they want. After they get their upgrades, they make their way to the royal castle because the queen wants to see them. During their chat, the queen is super excited that the group met Vittoria and wishes she could have had that chance too. Then, she gets down to business and tells Naofumi the real reason she called them to the castle. She's throwing a party for the four heroes that night and has something really important to share with them. Later that night, everyone gathers in the main hall for the feast while the heroes are having a private meeting with the queen. Just then, one of the knights bugs Raftalia, causing a bit of a scene in the reception hall. Melty spots her sister pouring some weird liquid into one of the pies. Back in the meeting with the queen, Naofumi remembers Vittoria's advice about sorting things out with the other heroes. He suggests they have an honest talk since they're all there. The queen then drops a big announcement. A once-in-a-decade event that'll boost their XP is about to kick off. It turns out Naofumi is the only one who doesn't know about this because he looks totally lost when the queen brings it up. Just then, Melty rushes in to tell her mom that Sophia tried to poison the food for the party, and she confessed because of her slave pact. The queen decides it's time to be straight with them. She reveals that when the next wave hits, if the heroes haven't sorted out their issues, all of them except the shield hero will be executed. She explains that the three heroes were defeated in the last waves, so they need to team up with the shield hero. The other three heroes ask Naofumi where he got his cheat shield. He tells them it's not a cheat, it's all from his hard work. Naofumi then offers to share what he knows if they go first. The three heroes start talking about the perks of their legendary weapons. Naofumi is shocked because he's been stressing over things he could have easily done with his legendary weapon, like teleportation. Meanwhile, there's still a commotion going on in the reception hall. Back in the private room, the heroes end up leaving on a bad note after they start arguing, so the night turns out to be a bust. The next morning, the queen tells Naofumi that the heroes left super early. The queen also mentions that the ship for his transport is ready at the dock. So, the shield hero says goodbye to Melty and the queen. Before leaving, Naofumi stops by the weapon shop to try out the new copy option he discovered. He uses it to copy some shields in the shop. After that, Rafatlia asks Naofumi if they can take a detour. They visit her village where she buried Rafana's bones. The village is in ruins, but Keel is determined to rebuild everything. Naofumi also wants to help anyone in need. Before leaving the village, Rafatlia and Philo beg Naofumi not to ever leave them. He agrees because he's not ready to leave everything to the three cardinal heroes. Naofumi knows he can't leave until Rafatlia and Philo find happiness. Soon after, the trio arrives at the dock where their ship is waiting. It turns out the other three heroes are also waiting to board the same ship. While on board, they bump into two adventurers, a guy named Berg and a girl named Therese. Naofumi introduces himself, but Berg isn't buying it. He straight up disses Naofumi calling the shield hero a loser, but claims Naofumi is different. Berg suggests that Naofumi and his crew team up with his party. Naofumi then heads to the front of the ship where the 3 other heroes are. They're all feeling pretty queasy from seasickness. Just then, Therese and Berg show up at the front. Therese learns Naofumi is a skilled jeweler and wants him to make her an accessory, offering to pay for it. Naofumi promises to whip it up while he's leveling up. Before long, the ship reaches Kalmyra. Moments later, the governor of Kalmyra, Habenberg, arrives to welcome Naofumi and the rest. Kalmyra is a cluster of islands popular with tourists and adventurers. As they explore the island, they run into Berg and Therese again. Berg scolds Naofumi for leaving the ship without saying goodbye. Naofumi scans them to check their levels and stats, starting to think about teaming up since they seem battle-tested. After Berg and Therese leave, Naofumi tells his crew to follow him. They plan to grind some levels before the day ends. They find a spot to fight slimes, and even the weakest ones give them a good amount of XP. Suddenly, they stop gaining XP. It's at that moment that Itsuki and the other heroes show up, and they start bickering over who gets to farm XP in that spot. The trio arrives at a new spot. They just took down a monster and racked up a ton of XP in one go. Raftalia and Philo quickly realize their skills have outgrown their weapons. If they don't do something soon, their gear is gonna fall apart. Naofumi suggests hitting up a weapon shop to snag some new gear before they face the boss. For now, they make do with some weapons they picked up from the monsters they've defeated. That night, Naofumi shares his worries about the rage shield and curse spell he used last time. Just then, Berg and Therese pop out from the bushes. Berg mentions he was worried when Naofumi's fairy dude said he hadn't come back yet. He considers Naofumi a friend now, and doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. That night back in town, Naofumi, the other heroes, and their crew have a blast together. The next morning, Naofumi hands Therese the accessory she asked him to make. She admires the jewelry and pays him way more than he expected. She even wants to give him more, but Naofumi suggests they level up together as payment. They head to the island and start battling monsters. Naofumi notices that Berg and Therese are pretty high-level adventurers. Therese casts a spell on the new accessory Naofumi made for her, and uses it as a weapon. Naofumi and his crew are shocked by the chant Therese uses to activate the spell. They've never heard anything like it before, and it seems super powerful. The flames surround Naofumi but don't hurt him at all. In fact, it even lifts the curse weighing him down. After a day of grinding, both parties say their goodbyes and split up. Naofumi is already planning to ask Therese and Berg to join his party once they finish leveling up. Later, Philo comes to tell Naofumi she found something underwater. They dive in and enter the structure. There's breathable air inside. It's dark everywhere, but the crew gets a surprise when Raftalia lights the way. Turns out there's an hourglass in the structure too. This means the island could be attacked in the next wave, which is coming in 2 days. After making this discovery, Naofumi jumps back to the capital to fill the queen in on what he's found. The queen wastes no time and quickly gathers a big army to prepare for the wave. Soon enough, the countdown hits 0, and the waves start crashing in. Monsters begin pouring out from the portals. The soldiers jump right in and start battling the monsters. They toss barrels of strong wine into the sea to create some explosive distractions. Then, a massive sea monster shows up and starts causing trouble. Itsuki can't get a hit in unless they can lure it out of the water. Naofumi hops onto Philo's back and heads into the water to confront the beast. Naofumi manages to bait the monster out of the water, giving Itsuki and the other heroes a chance to land some serious hits. But even with all that firepower, the monster seems unfazed and ends up wrecking one of the ships. Raftalia steps up and fires a powerful harpoon, landing a solid hit on the monster. While the heroes focus on the big monster, the soldiers keep busy with the smaller ones. During the chaos, Melty almost gets swarmed by monsters, but Berg swoops in just in time to save her and take out the monsters attacking her ship. Berg tells Naofumi to lure the monster out of the water again so he can strike. Naofumi pulls the monster out, and Berg jumps on it, delivering a killer blow. Philo and Therese join the fray, and together they manage to take the monster down. The queen is left amazed by their show of strength. After the monster gets taken down, the heroes are about to start scooping up the loot left behind, even though they didn't actually defeat the beast. Suddenly, Berg jumps in and attacks Naofumi and the other 3 heroes. Naofumi is caught off guard by Berg's sudden shift in attitude. Berg says it hurts him to do this, admitting he didn't believe Naofumi when he claimed to be the shield hero. Then, Berg declares that the heroes need to be taken out for the sake of the world. He explains that this isn't personal. They're heroes from another world too, and their own world is about to be destroyed. They need something to fight for, which is why they've come to this world. Berg and Therese say they're ready to fight the heroes fair and square. The queen realizes that Berg and Therese are the bad guys and quickly tells her soldiers to back up the heroes. With a single spell, Therese manages to freeze the other ships, stopping them from butting in on the fight. Therese and Berg make it clear that their only target is Naofumi, the shield hero. A brawl breaks out between the two groups. Berg seems to have the upper hand, skillfully dodging their attacks. Meanwhile, Melty is gearing up to support Naofumi. Berg warns Naofumi that he gets stronger the more defense he faces, making it tough for Naofumi to beat him. Just then, Melty shows up. She urges Naofumi to take down Berg and Therese quickly, because the wave isn't over yet. The fight kicks back into gear, and this time, Naofumi and his crew start to gain the upper hand. They land a few hits on Berg, but it's still not enough to take him down. Naofumi knows this battle is serious. It's a kill or be killed situation. Suddenly, glass bursts onto the scene. It turns out she's on their side. She throws different spells at Naofumi, but he blocks them all with his shield. Glass says she's impressed with how much stronger Naofumi has become, noting he was able to block her attacks without even using the rage shield. The fight is still on between the two groups. Naofumi notices that Glass is keeping her distance from the Soul Eater shield he transformed during the battle. His crew gets hit with a bunch of combos, but he manages to protect them with the shield prison. Tells his teammates to let him handle Glass while they take care of Berg and Teres. He instructs Melty, Philo, and Raftalia to focus on those two while he faces off against Glass. They move their fight to another ship. Glass is surprised that Naofumi trusts his crew enough to leave them to deal with Berg and Teres. She then reveals that she's also a hero from the same world as them. As the battle rages on, Naofumi uses the Soul Eater shield and figures out that it's not draining Glass's SP, but her life force. He tells her to throw in the towel because she's already lost. But Glass isn't ready to back down until one of them is dead. Naofumi hesitates to kill her, but she warns him that the world they're in will end if he doesn't. He has to take her out to protect the world, just like he always wanted. Naofumi gets a glimpse of the ongoing war in Glass's world. She needs to defeat him for her world to survive. He starts to wonder if he should really save a world that's been so cruel to him. Glass downs a potion that pumps her up and she fiercely slams Naofumi to the ground. Raftalia leaves her own fight to back him up, ready to do whatever it takes to save her master. Naofumi taps into his shield power, causing a massive explosion that overshadows Glass. When the smoke clears, he's shocked to see she can still take it. Frustrated, he's about to use the curse shield when he notices the queen and her troops coming to help. They start throwing barrels of wine at Glass and urge Naofumi to use it against her. He blows up the barrels on her, which weakens her significantly. Eventually, she admits defeat when she realizes she can't do anything more. Berg and Teres carry her away through the portals. As soon as they leave, the waves disappear too. With that, they've officially won the battle. After the battle, Naofumi and his crew decide to kick back and have some fun on the island before heading back to Melromark. Later, they bump into one of Itsuki's party members, Licia. She's been accused of breaking one of Itsuki's accessories. She really stood out in the last battle, and maybe the other heroes didn't like her stealing the spotlight. Naofumi then offers her a chance to join his team until she clears her name. Licia happily accepts. Not long after, the storm calms down, and it's time for them to head back to Melromark. On the way, Naofumi sails with the queen, who asks him what kind of reward he wants. He has something in mind. Once they arrive in Melromark, Naofumi takes Licia to the weapon shop to hook her up with some new gear and weapons. After that, he tells his party they're going somewhere, but keeps the destination a secret, just mentioning they're going to collect the queen's reward. They soon reach Raftalia's village. She's surprised to see them and meets Melty, who has a decree from the queen. The queen has named Naofumi as the governor of Sayate's demi-human region. This is his reward. He's now the lord of the area. Naofumi will be staying there, and they plan to set up a home base. The old granny will also be around, offering to train the new recruits. Raftalia realizes that rebuilding will be way quicker and easier with all of Naofumi's plans. Overwhelmed, Raftalia starts crying and begs Naofumi not to leave. She's not ready to lose him, and wants him to stick around even after the waves are defeated. Naofumi reassures her that he's not going anywhere. He's decided to make this world his home and sees it, along with his party members, as a fresh start. After taking down the last wave, which was pretty brutal, things are looking up for Naofumi and his crew. He's now the big boss of Luralona village, which is Raftalia's hometown. The village rebuilding is going smoothly, and the elder, Elrazla Grilero, has made it her home too. She's signed up to train the new recruits. Rishia, who used to be part of Itsuki's team, is also in the village, working hard to impress him. She's aiming to get stronger since Itsuki thinks she's just a weak link who doesn't belong in his party. She even wears a costume to boost her stats. While Naofumi is chatting with the elder and the trainees, a swarm of monster bats comes flying toward the village. Philo and Raftalia jump in with Naofumi to take out the bats. Naofumi picks up a piece left behind by the bats and infuses it into his shield. He figures out that these bats are familiars and wonders if they're monsters from the waves, but he realizes the wave can't be responsible for them, since they still have a week until the next wave hits. Just then, he notices that the wave countdown has stopped. Suddenly, there's a deafening roar that everyone in the area can hear and feel. After that, Naofumi and his party decide to head to the capital to talk to the queen about what just happened. The other heroes also show up for the meeting. The queen tells them that the monster bats are linked to the awakening of a terrifying beast called the Spirit Tortoise. This Spirit Tortoise is known for bringing along a bunch of monsters and beasts. Motoyasu and the other two heroes tell the queen they're not ready to fight anything that's not related to the waves. They were summoned to handle the waves, and they're not interested in anything else. The trio walks out after making their intentions clear. On their way out, Rishia spots Itsuki and asks to rejoin his party, but he shuts her down. He hasn't changed his mind about her and thinks she'll never be strong enough. Back in the meeting room, Naofumi tells the queen he's willing to help with the Spirit Tortoise issue. The tortoise is still far east, but is headed toward the capital, and since Naofumi's territories are in its path, they need to take it down before it gets close. The queen asks about Melty, and Naofumi reassures her that she's doing fine. She's in charge of keeping an eye on things happening in Naofumi's territory. Naofumi is relieved that the wave countdown has stopped. It gives him more time to focus on taking down the tortoise. He plans to figure out why the countdown stopped in the first place. After the meeting, Naofumi and his crew hit up the weapon shop to snag Rishia a weapon. The shop owner, Elhart, fills Naofumi in on the scoop that other nations are teaming up with Melromark to take on the tortoise. After that, they swing by the slave merchant. Raftalia talks Rishia into getting a slave crest like hers, saying it'll help her grow while serving under Naofumi. Rishia hesitates at first, but eventually agrees and gets the crest. Naofumi notices Rishia is really trying to win over Itsuki. He promises to train her more so she can get what she wants. On their way to the Tortoise Kingdom, they run into some refugees from there. This lets them know things are already going downhill. One night, the crew discovers that the cow tail on Philo's head is actually a communication device she can use to talk to Fitoria. Fitoria reminds Naofumi of her warning. She hasn't changed her mind about taking out the heroes if they don't work together. Rishia is shocked and immediately worries about Itsuki's safety. During their journey, they overhear a group chatting about the tortoise. A hooded guy tells his friends that 3 of the heroes are dead. As soon as Rishia hears this, she jumps out of the carriage and bolts toward the capital. Naofumi manages to stop her, telling her not to freak out over stuff she hasn't confirmed. Just then, a swarm of monster bats and yetis starts closing in on them. The shield hero and his crew jump into action to protect the civilians until they can safely get past the checkpoint. The monsters are overwhelming, and Naofumi has to unleash a powerful dark burning curse to wipe them out. The spell is so intense it leaves a massive crater in the ground. Naofumi is wiped out from using it. They're chatting when a woman in a black robe suddenly appears. Stu Itu. The woman asks the shield hero to kill her, and she vanishes right away. Later, generals from different nations gather for a meeting, with the Queen of Melromark and Naofumi present. They get reports that the tortoise has already wiped out one nation's capital, and is now chilling out for a few days. During the meeting, some leaders think they can take on the tortoise without the 4 heroes, but the affected nation warns them they don't stand a chance. They all need to team up to have a shot at defeating the beast. While the meeting is going on, Eclair, the daughter of Morelia's trusted noble who died during the first wave, shows up at the camp. Philo and Rishia fill her in that Naofumi, Raftalia, and the queen are brainstorming a plan to take down the tortoise. Back in the meeting room, Naofumi learns there are other heroes besides the 4 cardinal ones. They're called the 7-star heroes and were summoned earlier, with some chosen in the kingdom too. They're pretty weak compared to the cardinal heroes, but they'll pitch in to help. Just then, a woman in black walks in. The queen seems to know her. She's the mistress of the now dead king of the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom and is currently the nation's regent. She introduces herself to Naofumi as Osthurai and shocks everyone by saying she's the familiar of the spirit tortoise. She's basically like the yetis and monster bats, but in human form. Her goal as a human-type familiar is to get close to the power center and use trickery to gather a minimum number of souls. She explains that the spirit tortoise's job is to block waves of calamity from showing up. The tortoise uses souls as a resource to do this, and the monsters are its way of gathering souls. But if that doesn't work, the seal on the tortoise will break, and it'll be set free to wreak havoc on the world to collect enough souls to stop the waves. This time, though, the seal didn't break on its own. Someone else broke it and is now controlling the tortoise, which is causing chaos that could be disastrous. There might not be anything left after the tortoise is done. Ost begs Naofumi to take out her creator before things get any worse. She should be the only one who knows how to break the seal, and is shocked that someone else has that knowledge. Ost tells Naofumi she's got some tips on how to track down the person controlling the giant tortoise. This tortoise is all about collecting souls, so it's probably hanging out in crowded places to do its thing. She lets the crew know that if they chop off its head, the tortoise should go down for good. Now that they know how to take it out, they just need a solid plan to execute it. The nations start bickering over who's gonna lead the operation. Naofumi gets super mad and puts them in their place. He declares he'll be the one in charge, and there's nothing they can do about it. After the meeting, Ost goes to meet Naofumi's team. Eclair decides she's in for the fight too, ready to defend her land. That night, Raftalia approaches Naofumi, telling him to come up with a plan that the generals can't refuse something so appealing. They'll have no choice but to team up with him. Raftalia knows Naofumi is trying to save everyone, and she really appreciates that. The next day, Naofumi lays out his plan to the generals. Since the tortoise is targeting crowded areas, he wants them to mobilize in big numbers to grab its attention. Naofumi's plan is to take down a fortress and drop it on the tortoise to take it out of commission. Once it's down, they'll fire the multicaster weapon the Pope used at it. Rishia and Ost are tasked with hitting the library to find a way to defeat the monster while everything else is getting ready. Meanwhile, Naofumi will figure out how to chop off the tortoise's head. Soon after, the preparations kick off. That night, Naofumi and his crew gather around a fire to stay warm. While they're chilling, Ost quickly figures out that Rishia has a crush on Itsuki. That's why she's so eager for his approval. Just then, they hear the roar of the spirit tortoise, signaling that it's back in action. The next day, the military gathers up and starts moving toward the spirit tortoise. Eclair is leading the cavalry thanks to her teaching skills. As the soldiers head out, Naofumi plants the shield hero's flag in his wagon, and that really pumps up the troops. They all cheer when they see the flag. Just seeing the shield hero riding with them boosts their morale. Naofumi feels good about motivating the soldiers, but he's also planning to use the flag as a warning sign when he's about to summon the multicaster weapon, telling the troops to clear out. As they get closer to the tortoise, Naofumi uses the hate reaction spell to lure the bat monsters away, clearing a path for the troops. They manage to draw the tortoise to the spot they want it. The tortoise is a massive beast. Soon, Naofumi and his crew run into a swarm of bat monsters. Ost jumps out of the wagon and uses her gravity spell to take them out. This is the first time Naofumi and his team have seen a spell like that. She tells them that only a few monsters can use it. The troops in charge of the siege weapons start firing at the monster. Despite all the attacks, the tortoise keeps moving forward. The shadow agent updates Naofumi on the mission status. saying the fort is ready and the bomb squad is standing by. The tortoise takes out all the bomb squad members except for the leader. The leader manages to set off the bomb, and the fort collapses on the tortoise just like they planned. They head over to where the tortoise is. Suddenly, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head and realizes that the tortoise can still use its long-range attacks even when it's down. She figures this out since she's close to it. Naofumi shouts for the troops to get back right away. The troops start to retreat, but some of them get hit by the tortoise's attack. Eclair then tells her troops to charge straight at the tortoise. She knows the tortoise isn't trying to hurt itself. It's not attacking anyone nearby. The best move for them is to stay close to the tortoise. Alongside the shield hero, Eclair's troops charge at the tortoise. Naofumi signals that it's time to activate the multicaster magic. Just then, a mutated familiar pops up from the ground. Naofumi is still figuring out what to do when the troops arrive. They tell Naofumi and his crew not to sweat the familiar and just focus on taking down the tortoise. Ost provides a magical shield for the troops to protect them from the familiar. Naofumi and his team reach the tortoise just as it gets hit by the multicaster, creating a hole in its neck. Naofumi throws a powerful shield into the exposed area. Ost casts a spell to make the shield bigger and help it penetrate the tortoise's skin better. Philo and Raftalia go after the tortoise and deliver the final blow, cutting off its head. Cheers of victory ring out among the troops when the tortoise falls. But Naofumi and his crew feel sad that Ost is gone, now that the tortoise is defeated. Rishia is already in tears because she got close to Ost. Just then, they look back and see Ost staring at them. She tells them it looks like the spirit tortoise hasn't been defeated yet. That's the only logical reason she's still alive. Rishia shares with the group why she loves Itsuki. She explains that she was born into a poor, noble family, but the people in her area were really nice to her and her parents. Everything was going smoothly until one day when a noble from another town came by, slapped heavy taxes on her family, and they couldn't pay up. This nasty noble decided to take Rishia as payment and locked her up. But then, Itsuki showed up and rescued her. He stood up to the evil noble and helped her parents too. Rishia says this is why she wants to repay Itsuki for what he did. She wants to do something that the bow hero will appreciate. After sharing her story, Naofumi arrives to let everyone know they'll be heading out the next day to the back of the tortoise. The next day, the team sets off for their next mission. They're going to the tortoise's body, which is said to have the power to come back to life even after its head is chopped off. They soon reach the tortoise. As they walk, they pass some soldiers who greet Ost warmly. Ost is confused about why they're being so nice to her, considering her role is to steal souls. Philo and the other girls explain that the soldiers are grateful for her saving their lives. They know she's just doing her job, and nobody holds that against her. After walking for a while, Naofumi suggests they set up camp for the night. The old lady comments that Naofumi is really brave for suggesting they camp on the back of a monster. He explains why he's doing this. He doesn't want them to wear themselves out before they reach their goal. While they're taking a break, Ost tells Rishia to give it her all while she's with the shield hero, because she's also helping the bow hero indirectly. Just then, Ost feels a sharp pain in her head. Naofumi notices that the fog that was everywhere before has cleared up. They see a clear path and the group keeps moving forward. The next morning, they arrive at a settlement where the tortoise has caused chaos, and there are no survivors. It's a tough moment for the team and the troops who came to check it out. The queen is also there. The shadow squad soon reports back about a temple they found. There are no survivors, but they want the queen to see something. They discover that the shrine was dedicated to the spirit tortoise, but there's no sign that the seal inside was broken. They find a wall with inscriptions about the tortoise, which is seen as the guardian spirit of the world. Naofumi is impressed that Rishia can read the words on the wall. The queen mentions they might have found something she's actually good at. The old lady backs her up, saying she has some great skills. They soon spot another writing on the wall. This one's in Japanese, and the people here call it the hero's alphabet because they can't read it. Naofumi checks it out. He says the writing is faded, but he can make out 3 words: seal, seventh, and shatter. Ost says she can read it too and seems to have figured something out from it. Just then, the building starts to collapse, and they quickly run out before they get trapped. Ost tells the team she now has an idea on how to take down the tortoise. They need to go inside its body and destroy the heart. There's a path inside the temple that will lead them to its heart. Once they destroy the heart, everything will be over. Naofumi then calls out those who will follow him from the group. He picks Philo, Raftalia, Ost, and Rishia. They're to go with him into the temple while the others handle the troops. As they go deeper into the tortoise's body, they run into some adventurers. The adventurers say the queen sent them to check things out. Naofumi senses something's off. Raftalia casts a spell to figure out who the adventurers are. They're shocked to find out that the 3 adventurers are none other than Berg, Therese, and Glass. Vost is having a moment of clarity. She's trying to figure out why she cares about the soldiers and the people in the area. As the tortoise is familiar, she's supposed to just go with the flow, without feeling any guilt. It's weird for her to be feeling any emotions at all. When she snaps back to reality, she realizes they've just learned about Therese, Berg, and Glass. Naofumi tells Ost and Rishia that these 3 are heroes from another world, and they're set on taking down the 4 cardinal heroes. Berg surprises Naofumi by saying they're not there to fight. Instead, they're actually there to battle the tortoise and take down the person controlling it. It turns out the one who broke the seal comes from the same world as Berg and the others. This mystery person wants the tortoise's power for themselves, just for their own gain. That's why Berg and his crew decided to step in. They might have plans to take out the 4 cardinal heroes, but the culprit doesn't care about one world over another. They just want to stir up trouble. Berg suggests teaming up to take down the beast and the culprit, but Naofumi isn't having it. He says he's not ready to join forces with people he'll eventually have to kill. He doesn't care what they do as long as they go their own way. Berg and his party don't push it any further and just leave Naofumi and his crew. Outside, the queen has filled the generals in on the shield heroes' plan. They need to gear up and stop the tortoise from moving forward, while Naofumi and his group figure out how to destroy its heart and put an end to the beast for good. The tortoise is already healing way too fast. As they keep going inside the tortoise, Ost starts to remember a lot, and she's the one guiding them in the right direction. They soon find a spot with a blue hourglass inside, which looks totally different from regular hourglasses. Ost explains that this hourglass shows how many souls the tortoise has collected. Once it's full, the tortoise will create a barrier to protect the world from the waves. Meanwhile, Berg and his crew have reached the tortoise's heart and are gearing up to destroy it. They want to take out the heart to free the guardian beast from the monster tortoise's control. As they keep moving through the tortoise's body, Ost is weighed down by guilt over everything she's had to do. She can't shake the smiles of the soldiers she's hurt. It tears her up knowing she's taken so many smiles away. Rapatalia and Rishia comfort her, telling her not to stress because she's just doing her job. They soon arrive at a place that seems to lead to the beast's mouth. Ost uses her powers to create a new path, saying it leads to the heart of the tortoise. When they reach the turtle's heart, they find the person controlling the tortoise. He introduces himself as Kyo, the wielder of the book's vassal weapon. Ost attacks, but her hits don't land because they aren't facing his real body. Kyo tells Naofumi and his team he knows Berg and his crew are looking for him. He set up multiple fake hearts around the tortoise's body to distract them and waste their time. Naofumi quickly demands Kyo return control of the tortoise and give back the souls he's taken. Kyo just laughs and isn't interested in cooperating. Ost warns him that the people of this world will fight back and won't let him have his way. Not wanting to argue anymore, Kyo disappears. Once he's gone, the heart's self-defense system activates and attacks Naofumi and his team. Philo goes after the heart, which affects Ost. She tells them not to worry about her and to keep attacking the heart. Rafatalia joins Philo, and they unleash a flurry of attacks on the heart, slicing it in two. At the same time, Ost passes out, and Rishia starts crying. Just then, Ost comes back to life, but it's another letdown because destroying the heart doesn't even kill the tortoise. However, Ost remembers everything about herself and the spirit tortoise. Ost realizes the spirit tortoise is about to come back to life and quickly opens a portal for them to escape. Berg and his team realize too late that the tortoise is reviving. Now Fumi and his crew make it to the deepest part of the tortoise, where they find Kyo again. Kyo tells them they've been going about this all wrong. He reveals that Ost isn't just the tortoise's familiar. She's actually connected to the tortoise's core. Basically, she is the spirit tortoise itself. They could have ended it all by just killing her, he says. The team realizes they need to destroy both at the same time to have a shot at beating it. Kyo drops a bombshell, revealing he has Itsuki and the other two heroes captive, using them as a power source for the tortoise. That's why the tortoise is regenerating so quickly. As the tortoise gears up to wreak havoc, it fires off a bunch of long-range attacks at the troops, but Vittoria shows up just in time to block everything. She goes on the offensive against the tortoise and talks to Naofumi's crew through Philo. Vittoria tells them she'll handle the tortoise's head while they take out the heart. They need to sync their attacks to hit both targets at once. Kyo, however, says he'll just stop them from reaching the heart. Plus, there's now a barrier around the core. Suddenly, Berg and his team burst into the room. Kyo laughs at them for finally figuring out where the real heart is after wasting so much time. Berg mentions that their vassal weapons are warning them against doing something gross, but Kyo insists he's not a slave to his vassal weapon and will do whatever he wants. He casts a spell and summons a giant fiery bird. They try to attack Kyo, but discover there's a barrier protecting him too, powered by the three cardinal heroes. Outside, the queen realizes Vittoria can't fight at full strength while she has troops to protect. She orders the troops to retreat and let Vittoria handle it. Vittoria is seriously powerful. The tortoise is having a hard time even hitting her. Kyo uses gravity to pin the group down, preventing them from moving. He then walks over to Naofumi and starts kicking him in the head, knowing there's nothing they can do about it. This breaks Philo and Raftalia's hearts, but they can't move. Just then, Rishia finds a new strength and manages to break free from the gravity spell. She calls Kyo out for being just like her, a weak person who relies on others' strength. Kyo gets furious and blasts Rishia with several attacks, but she survives them all. He's shocked to see Rishia still standing after everything he threw at her. Rishia charges at Kyo, and this freaks him out. While he's busy battling Rishia, Ost takes the chance to give Naofumi the tortoise's power so he can break free. He does it, and Ost opens a portal for Berg and his crew to reach the tortoise's core. Kyo wants to tag along, but Rishia stops him. Naofumi figures out that Rishia can move thanks to her ability to manipulate ki. Kyo doesn't stand a chance against Rishia as she slices through everything he throws at her. She looks like a whole new person. She even breaks the wall holding the cardinal heroes. Ost then pleads with Naofumi to end her while there's still time. Outside, the queen fires up the multicaster weapon to attack the tortoise. Vittoria uses this moment to take out the head. At the same time, Berg and his team manage to smash the barrier around the core. They think it's all over until Kyo reveals he has a backup plan. He's now using the soul's power to protect the core. Just then, Naofumi tries to activate the rage shield, but realizes he doesn't have any hate for Kyo. They think it's done for until Ost activates the power she put inside the shield earlier. A bright light bursts from the shield, creating a powerful blast that slices through the core like butter. The light is so bright that everyone in the area can see it. Kyo tells them he's already achieved his goal. He has a glass vial where he's been keeping the stolen souls. He creates a portal and makes a run for it before anyone can catch him. Ost is now on the ground, life fading from her body. She tells Naofumi not to use the rage shield again. Berg and his crew then jump through the same portal Kyo used to escape. Naofumi tries to follow but finds out he can't. The cardinal heroes don't have the authority to invade another world. Ost then gives Naofumi what he needs to bypass the restriction. Now he and his friends can invade another world under certain conditions. Naofumi and his team leap into the portal before it closes to join Berg and his group. As they leave, Ost finally passes away and turns into golden dust. The tortoise's body also fades away, and the land becomes lush and green. In the next scene, Naofumi wakes up in a cell. Rashia and Raftalia are there with him, but Philo is nowhere to be found, and Raftalia looks smaller than before. They notice the cell door is open and there are no guards around. They make their way to the entrance and step outside, finding themselves on a weird beach. The ocean is in front of them, and a thick forest is behind. Since they can't go into the ocean, they decide to head into the forest instead. As they walk, they're worried about not finding Philo anywhere. Their main goal is to locate her. Suddenly, a monster made of cardboard pops out from the trees and attacks them. Naofumi lets the cardboard bite his arm so Raftalia can easily take it down. After that, Naofumi uses a fragment to level himself up. Raftalia levels up too. Naofumi tells the girls they need to defeat more monsters to boost their levels a bit. After battling a bunch of low-level monsters all day, the girls get tired and decide to drink some water from a lake. While they're doing that, a kappa jumps out of the water. Naofumi jumps in front of the monster to protect the girls. He takes a beating from it, but he's okay with that since the girls' levels are still low, and he doesn't want to put them in danger. Just when the monster is about to take out Raftalia, a mysterious helper shows up to save them. She casts a spell and takes down the monster. She introduces herself as Kizuna, one of the cardinal heroes, and her title is the Hunting Hero. They're both shocked to learn they're both cardinal heroes, but have never heard of each other's titles before. She tells them to follow her so she can help with their wounds and take care of them. Kizuna brings them back to her place, which is the same cell they woke up in. Apparently, she's the one who found them when they landed in this world and took care of them. She reveals that she's been separated from her teammates since she got kidnapped by an enemy country and locked up. Naofumi asks if she knows about the waves, but she says she doesn't. She says she was brought into this world for a different reason. Naofumi is taken aback because Berg and the others know about the waves. Kizuna perks up when Naofumi mentions Berg and Glass. She rushes over to him and says that Glass is her best friend. Naofumi starts to have doubts about Kizuna when he hears she's friends with Glass, whom he sees as a monster. Kizuna invites the trio to join her for a meal. Naofumi hesitates to eat the food she offers. Kizuna reminds him that she saved his life, so she wouldn't harm him. Then she pulls out her cardinal weapon and attacks Naofumi with it. She cuts his neck, but he doesn't feel any pain. She explains that her weapon can attack, but can't actually hurt anyone. This gives Naofumi and his crew a bit of trust to eat Kizuna's food. She provides raw ingredients, and Naofumi ends up cooking them. Raftalia is going to eat more since she's still growing. Naofumi shares their plans to leave, but Kizuna tells them they can't. They're in prison, the Infinite Labyrinth, which is a temporal prison. Once you're in, you can never get out. She lost track of time after the first few years, but hasn't given up because she's still looking for a way out. She promises to show them around when morning comes and assures them there are no monsters that can get in. The next day, Kizuna takes the trio to a building on the island. She's cleared it of monsters before and thinks it might have a way out, but she hasn't found it yet. She shows them a portal that looks like it could lead off the island, but it's blocked. Naofumi suggests that while it might not be an exit, it's definitely a glitch. Kizuna then hands Naofumi the seed he asked her to make. He uses his power to boost the seed's growth, and it expands rapidly, breaking through the glitch. Naofumi and his party, including Kizuna, quickly jump into the glitch. They soon find themselves in a different location, and Kizuna recognizes it as the world where she was summoned. She hugs Naofumi and thanks him for the help, then hugs Rapatalia and Rishia too. She expresses her joy at no longer being alone. The group heads deeper into the countryside. Kizuna realizes there's a countdown to the waves, which are just 10 days away. She reveals they're in the country that locked her up, and they need to bail before they get caught again. Their plan is to head to the country that summoned Kizuna, called Sikul. Kizuna mentions she has a teleportation ability, but she needs a special tool to use it, the Dragon Hourglass. Naofumi is shocked to learn they can actually use the hourglass for that in this world. They'll have to make their way to the church that has the device while dodging any trouble. Kizuna says it'll take them 3 days to reach the hourglass, and they can level up and grab supplies along the way. When they reach a village, Kizuna fills Naofumi in on the different races in the country. There are elves, demi-humans like Raftalia, and spirit people. Glass is one of the spirit people, which explains her crazy power, but their healing is natural, so magic and healing items don't work on them. Naofumi figures out why his Soul Eater shield hits harder against Glass. Plus, the area feels more like a Japanese setting with its clothing and culture. They need a spot to rest and grab a bite. Kizuna offers to sell some drop items she doesn't need to cover their costs. That night, Naofumi tells the group he has soul-soothing potions that help recover SP, which the spirit people will definitely want. They plan to get on that the next day. The next day, Naofumi and his crew put on masks and set up in a public spot to promote their potions. It doesn't take long before spirit people swarm in and buy everything up. They can't keep up with the demand and promise to bring more the next day. The following day, they switch to an auction style to rake in even more cash cash while selling the potions. Everyone wants them, and they keep raising the price until the highest bidder wins. They manage to gather a ton of funds, enough to snag new weapons and armor. They get themselves a pass and head to the capital. They arrive at the capital and see a crowd gathered outside a building. They start to worry that the authorities have caught wind of Kazuna escaping from prison. They ask someone in the crowd what's going on. The person tells them that a genius mage from another country has figured out how regular folks can use the hourglass. The heroes were the only ones who could use it before, but now this mage has found a way for everyone else to use it. The crowd is there for a demonstration. Naofumi suspects that this genius mage is none other than Kyo. They're taken aback when someone who isn't Kyo steps out of the building. The crowd calls him Kazuki. From his attitude, Naofumi can tell that Kazuki is just as nasty as Kyo. The group decides to find an inn for the night. The girls have some fun playing in the snow before heading to their room. They have 6 days before the waves hit. Naofumi says they need to track down Philo and take down Kyo before then. They can't afford to waste any time. Plus, Rafatlia and Rishia aren't back to their usual strength. Naofumi is also stuck using a sword that's only good for defense. Kazuna's vassal weapon can't harm humans. It seems like they're dealing with a bunch of different problems. With no time to lose, the group plans to head to the hourglass that night. That night, they make their way to the hourglass. When they get there, they find nothing. Before they know it, they're surrounded by guards. It looks like they've walked into a trap. They manage to fight through the guards and escape. Kazuna says the hourglass is in the center of the mansion, so that's where they need to go. They start searching the compound and finally locate the hourglass. But Kazuki and his crew are already there. Naofumi and his friends find themselves surrounded by guards. Kazuki reveals he's working for Kyo and has been tasked with capturing them, dead or alive. Naofumi uses his shield to take out the guards and tells Kazuna to head for the hourglass. Kazuna reaches the hourglass and activates it. The effects hit all of them at once. Suddenly, it disappears from Raftalia, and they hear Kyo's voice laughing at them. He tells them that once the teleportation spell is activated, it can't be stopped. Kyo reveals he's taking Raftalia to his lab for some science. Naofumi, Rishia, and Kazuna leave while Raftalia is left behind. Stu and the trio finally makes it to the other side, which is cool, but Naofumi is fuming because they had to leave Raftalia behind. He wants Kazuna to take them back, but she finds out that the device has been shut down from the other end. She tells Naofumi to chill out. She knows someone who can help them. Just then, 2 guys who know Kazuna show up, surprised to see her back. She tells them to get her someone named Ethnobalt. Meanwhile, Philo is being messed with by a slave trader. Kazuna starts chatting with the priests about how she got locked up by their neighboring nation. They see it as a sign of hostility that needs to be reported ASAP. Kazuna spills the beans that Naofumi helped her escape the labyrinth. She mentions that Naofumi is also a cardinal hero from another world. As soon as she says this, the priest calls for the guards, freaked out that Naofumi might come to wreck their world. Kazuna insists Naofumi can't do that because he's actually the one who helped her escape. Naofumi is not ready to hear the nonsense they're talking. He's still boiling with anger. He starts to leave, but a white-haired guy stops him. Kazuna calls him Ethnobalt. Looks like he's the Ethnobalt she was talking about. Ethnobalt is the guy who wields the boat vassal weapon, and he's a hero too. Kazuna reunites with her Shikigami, Chris, and reveals that she and Glass made it. Naofumi can also make one to locate Raftalia and Philo. All he needs is his tomato sauce and something to act as a Shikigami catalyst. That can be just a strand of her hair. Naofumi pulls out a strand of Raftalia's hair from his shield, leaving just his tomato sauce. The ritual to create the Shikigami kicks off, and it's faster than usual, forming in no time. This surprises Ethnobalt because it's not supposed to be that quick. The Shikigami appears as a small fox. Naofumi can see Rafatalia's eyes through it. The fact that the Shikigami was created means the catalyst owner is still alive and doing fine. Naofumi is ready to set off on the hunt for Raftalia right away. Just then, he notices something's off about Ethnobalt. Ethnobalt transforms into a rabbit right in front of them. Kazuna explains that Ethnobalt belongs to the monster species. He doesn't like showing his rabbit side to people, so for him to do that means he trusts Naofumi now. Ethnobalt's boat will take them to the person they're looking for. The crew heads to a low-key spot so Ethnobalt can summon his boat. Turns out, the boat is way bigger than Naofumi thought. They pull out a map and have Chris and the new Shikigami point to where their targets are. They discover that both Glass and Raftalia are being held at the same place. Ethnobalt activates the boat's teleportation, and they quickly arrive at the target location. They land the boat on the outskirts to stay under the radar. Ethnobalt will hang back and wait for their signal. As they stroll through town, Naofumi hears a familiar voice and rushes back to check it out. They spot a circus performer mistreating Philo, using her as entertainment for the crowd. Naofumi gets furious and is about to make a scene, but his buddy stops him, reminding him they're on a stealth mission. They decide to sneak in later that night to rescue Philo without a scratch. That night, they sneak into the place where the performer is keeping his merchandise. They find Philo in her bird form locked in a cage. They manage to break the talisman that's keeping her from transforming, and she joyfully reunites with her master. Just then, the entertainer shows up while they're freeing Philo. Naofumi uses his shield's power to create a mental illusion for the guy, leaving him in mental agony. He confesses he's the son of a noble and is just using the sideshow to rake in cash. He spills that it was his dad who gave Philo to him after finding her passed out. The team suspects Kyo must have been the one who handed Philo over to the noble. global. Since there are no Philolials in this world, Philo has been classified as a fairy. The next day, Philo meets Rapatalia's Shikigami and decides to name the beast Raph. They find out they're now wanted, but the wanted poster doesn't have a clear pic of them since it was dark. Suddenly, Naofumi realizes Raphtalia's stats have vanished from his view. He can't access her slave crest either. Raphtalia finds herself in a cell where her powers are pretty much useless. She turns around and sees that Berg and his buddies are stuck in the same cell with her. They're all shocked to see each other. The trio spills the beans that everything that went down was Kyo's scheme. He tricked them into following him through the portal and then separated them. While Berg and his crew end up in prison, Raphtalia, Naofumi, and Rishia are thrown into the labyrinth. They decide to team up to escape Kyo. Glass is furious when she learns her friend has been trapped in the labyrinth this whole time. She thanks Raphtalia for saving Kizuna and promises to help get her back to Naofumi too. Berg explains that the prison they're in is called the Prison of Exhaustion. It constantly drains their powers, thanks to the talisman the guards wear. But they still have their weapons because you can't take them away from the wielder. This rule applies to the cardinal weapons too. Raphtalia asks if they can still use their abilities even if they're weakened, and the trio says yes. Raphtalia then uses her illusion magic to trick the guards into thinking they've escaped. When the guards enter the room, they grab the talisman from one of them and seize the chance to make a break for it before getting caught. Naofumi can't wait to be reunited with his master. The group decides to level up Raphtalia before they meet up with Naofumi. They find a jewel to sell and buy food to keep their energy up. After that, they head to the forest for some training. Raphtalia grows a bit during their sessions, and with her getting bigger, Glass offers to make her a new kimono. That night, Therese and Berg keep watch while Glass works on Raphtalia's new kimono. They know half the town will be searching for them, so they need to stay on high alert. The next morning, Berg and the others discover that a new hero is about to emerge in their world. This hero will wield the katana vassal weapon, and they're on the lookout for the right person to take on that role. Glass mentions that the arrival of a hero could shift the military balance between nations. Berg wants to check out the installation ceremony to see who gets chosen as the rightful wielder of the weapon. When they arrive at the event, Berg tells Raphtalia that the weapon picks its own wielder. Lots of adventurers have tried to use it but couldn't. The next person called up is Kazuki, and Raphtalia is stunned to see him step forward. But as soon as Kazuki touches the weapon, it vanishes from his grip. Suddenly, Raphtalia finds herself holding the katana, and she's in total shock. She tries to get rid of it, but it's stuck with her now. Once you have a vassal weapon, you can't lose it. She bolts before the guards can catch her and realizes her slave crest is gone. Out of nowhere, she gains body mass and reaches her adult form as a demi-human. Raphtalia keeps running, with the guards hot on her heels. She's determined to survive and reach Naofumi. She arrives at a building that looks like a shrine, and a woman steps out to help her. The woman explains that her clan has been serving the katana vassal weapon for generations. Raphtalia can't believe she's a hero now, but the woman reassures her that the weapon chose her and doesn't make mistakes. Raphtalia thanks her and heads outside, only to find Kazuki and the guards waiting. Raphtalia tells Kazuki to back off because she wants no trouble, but he's not having it. He accuses her of stealing the sword from him and goes after her, but she knocks him down without even trying. Just then, two tigers under Kazuki's control show up. Raphtalia realizes these tigers are just like the spirit tortoise. Kazuki brags about controlling the holy beasts and sends them after her, but she easily takes them down. She pleads with Kazuki again to just let her be. Raphtalia hits Kazuki with a move that pins him down. If he tries to move, he'll get sliced in half. He'll be free once a mage heals him. Before she leaves, she tells him to pass a message to Kyo. The shield hero is coming for revenge. Raphtalia makes it to the bottom of the stairs, but is already feeling weak. Another guardian beast appears to attack her, but Naofumi shows up just in time to block the tiger's attack. Philo and Kizuna finish off the beast. Raphtalia is thrilled to be back with her friends. Naofumi tells her she's free now that her slave crest is gone. After their reunion, Kizuna can't wait to take on the waves. She has no clue what the waves look like since she was brought here to take down the Dragon King. They've got 3 days until the waves show up. Philo can now fly thanks to the changes in this world, but she's lost most of her fighting skills. Meanwhile, Kazuki makes a move when he shouldn't have and gets sliced in half. One of Kyo's goons asks if he can take out the shield and katana heroes. Naofumi and the crew send a message to Ethnobalt to come pick them up. The 3 vassal heroes reunite with them, and Glass is super excited to see Kizuna. Kizuna gets mad when she finds out her friends traveled to Naofumi's world to try and take them out. She sees her friends as the bad guys here. While she's venting, Berg gets called away. Naofumi and his team learn that Berg is the king of Sikul. Kizuna keeps going, telling her friends she'll find a way to save both their world and Naofumi's. She insists it's wrong for them to plan on destroying Naofumi's world and reassures Naofumi that she wants to help him beat Kyo. Meanwhile, Kyo has taken Kazuki's body to his lab, promising Kazuki's crew that he can bring him back to life. He's tossed Kazuki into a tube filled with some kind of fluid. The next day, the team heads out to gear up for their showdown with Kyo. They stop by a weapon shop where the owner, Romina, is shocked to see Kizuna after all these years. Kizuna cuts to the chase, explaining why they're there. She wants the best gear Romina can hook them up with. Kizuna shows her the equipment they need, and insists they need it all done by the next morning. Just then, they hear a ruckus outside. When they check it out, they run into Kyo's associate, Yomogi. She's there to take them out for Kyo. They're surprised she's come alone to face them. She attacks, but they don't take her seriously until they realize she's actually strong. Her sword looks super powerful with how it moves and the damage it deals. Berg and his buddy jump in to help, pushing Yomogi back. She's already panting from exhaustion but isn't ready to throw in the towel. She powers up her sword again. The group realizes something's off with the sword because of how it moves and behaves. They ask Yomogi where she got it, and she says Kyo made it for her. They urge her to ditch the sword right away since it gives them a bad vibe. Just then, the sword starts acting up, trying to wrap itself around Yomogi. Kizuna jumps in and cuts the attachments off. The rest of the heroes join in with their combo attacks until the sword is finally destroyed. After that, Kizuna tries to have a calm chat with Yomogi. She learns that Kyo wants to kill her and the heroes using the sword. Even if Yomogi managed to take out the heroes, the sword would have turned on her too. Yomogi doesn't buy it because she sees Kyo as a good guy. She insists Kyo is just trying to achieve a simple goal, finding a way to stop the waves. Later, Kizuna and the others follow Yomogi to Kizuna's house. Kizuna wants to convince Yomogi to share what she knows. Naofumi feels uneasy about Yomogi because of Kyo's past actions. Kyo has taken a lot of lives, including Ost's. He thinks they shouldn't treat Yomogi like a friend and walks away. The rest of the group follows suit, leaving Kizuna alone with Yomogi. Once they're in her room, Kizuna frees Yomogi's hands to make her comfortable. Yomogi relaxes and starts chatting easily with Kizuna. She reveals that Kyo was her childhood friend. He was always a bit of a loner and didn't talk much. A genius from a young age, he spent all his time reading about the waves and other stuff. He's always wanted to find a way to stop the waves. Yomogi then tells Kizuna she's ready to fight alongside them if they have a real plan to stop Kyo. Kizuna reassures her that they just want to defeat him to talk, not to kill him. The next day, Naofumi and his crew head to the weapon shop to pick up their gear. While they're there, they notice the wave countdown suddenly hits 0, and the waves show up out of nowhere. While the team is still trying to figure things out, Ethnobalt shows up with his boat and tells everyone to hop in. Yomogi then spills the beans that the waves are all Kyo's fault. He used the power he snagged from the spirit tortoise to call up those waves. She thought Kyo was trying to help, but now she feels like a total fool and is ready to team up with everyone to take Kyo down. Naofumi tells Yomogi to take him to Kyo so he can handle him. Once they get into the lab, they run into humans who've been fused with copies of guardian beasts. They've turned into chimeras. These chimeras are Kazuki's crew, and they're there to take down Naofumi and his friends because of what happened to Kazuki. The chimeras charge at the group, but Raftalia slices them down in one go. A chain reaction kicks off with the swords, and Naofumi realizes they're about to blow up. He quickly creates several layers of shields to protect himself and his friends. The swords explode, but Naofumi and his crew are safe. Just then, Kyo shows up with Kazuki. They quickly figure out that this isn't the real Kazuki. Kyo has taken someone else's soul and shoved it into Kazuki's dead body. The soul inside Kazuki belongs to the mirror hero. Kyo leaves the mirror hero to deal with the group. Raftalia tells Naofumi to let them handle the zombie while he goes after Kyo. Naofumi and Rishia chase after Kyo, finding him chilling in a room, mocking them. He even threatens to head back to their world and wipe out Fitoria to steal her power too. Everything he says just gets under Naofumi's skin, making him angrier. Fuming, he activates the rage shield. Kyo keeps poking at him to make him even madder. Naofumi gets so worked up that the rage shield starts to take over. Rishia tries to keep Naofumi in check, but there's not much she can do. She moves closer to him, but he grabs her neck and starts saying hurtful stuff. Kyo is loving every second of this. His plan is going off without a hitch. After throwing out all the nasty things he wants to say, Rishia tells him she doesn't blame him. She's even glad to know what Naofumi really thinks of her. Naofumi is really starting to get it together, thanks to Philo and Raftalia. They're the ones who keep him grounded. With their encouragement, he slowly starts to regain control. Meanwhile, Kyo is fuming because Rishia messed up his plans. He tries to take Naofumi out, but Rishia steps in and blocks all his attacks, reminding him that he's still weak and relying on the spirit tortoise's power to stay afloat. Naofumi is still struggling to get a grip on himself, but everything changes when Ost's spirit shows up and tells him he doesn't need the dragon's power to do what he wants. That snaps him back to reality, and the anger inside him starts to fade. He opens his eyes and sees Philo and Raftalia right there with him. He powers up his shield and aims it at Kyo. Philo and Raftalia have taken down the zombie and snagged the mirror weapon. They combine that weapon with Naofumi's shield, boosting his power and strength. Now he's ready to go toe-to-toe with Kyo. Kyo gets taken down, and just like that, the waves clear up. They also leave behind the vassal book. Yomogi thanks Naofumi for taking out Kyo. After defeating him and getting the spirit tortoise's power back, Naofumi and his crew decide to stick around until the next wave hits, so they can ride it back home. But then they realize they're about to be sent back since their mission is done. The countdown starts, and their bodies start glowing. Kizuna thanks Naofumi as he and his friends head back to their world. Once they're home, the queen rewards Naofumi with the title of Viscount for taking down the spirit tortoise. Naofumi also finds out that the 3 cardinal heroes teamed up to beat the last wave that showed up. Next up, Naofumi and his crew decide to take a fun trip. They stop by a river to grab some food and chill out. Philo and Rapitalia start chatting about how much they miss Kizuna. Rishia still can't figure out how to make a fire because she won't learn survival skills from Kizuna. Philo wishes she could still fly in this world. Meanwhile, Yomogi and Kizuna are out fishing. As they fish, they keep chatting about Naofumi and his friends. Kizuna shares her memories of the island where she was trapped. When she first arrived, She was full of energy and determined to escape. She started getting used to island life, catching fish to eat. But after a while, she got tired of plain fish and added some salt to spice things up. Then she built a boat to sail out to the horizon and see if there was a way out. When she got there, she found it was just another dead end. Frustrated, she even thought about ending it all, but she couldn't go through with it. To keep herself company, she made a mannequin to talk to. She shared all her thoughts and ideas with it, even asking if she should add seasoning to her meals. Eventually, she started whipping up some tasty dishes from the ingredients she found on the island. One day, while patrolling the island, she spotted Naofumi and his friends landing like comets. That's how she met Naofumi and his crew, who later helped her escape the island. With that, she wraps up her story for Yomogi. Yomogi then admits she's slowly forgetting Kyo's face, even though they grew up together. Kizuna encourages her to focus on the fun memories instead of the sad ones. Yomogi recalls a time in the lab when Kyo was searching for his glasses before he went to the other world to get the spirit tortoise power. That was the last time she had fun with him. After remembering that, Yomogi can picture him again. She thanks Kizuna for the help, and the two decide to head out before their people start looking for them. Back in Naofumi's world, Philo is trying to fly with the wagon. She's still struggling to accept that she can't fly anymore. The group soon arrives at a spot where they want to pay tribute to Ost. They toss flowers off the cliff in her honor, remembering her sacrifice. As they start to leave, Naofumi looks back and sees Ost's spirit smiling at them. He smiles back as he says goodbye to her.